I'm so grateful and thankful to all of you for giving me so much support and love and blessings. We finished chapter 1, believe it or not, and we now start second chapter. When I began this journey, I was not sure how you will all receive it, how you will like it. Such a mammoth task, challenging, gigantic task I took upon myself. But with your great encouragement, I continue on this journey. Here we go, we start second chapter. So first chapter, Arjuna has been arguing against the war. Still he is doing the same. But now the greatest hero of all, Bhagavan Krishna, will enter the scene and he will start speaking to us, to Arjuna and to all of us soon. So let's begin. Sanjay Uvach. So we have to remember Sanjay is still narrating the entire scene to Dhritarashtra. Sanjay literally means completely victorious. Sanjay name itself is victorious. So Sanjay Uvach. Sanjay spoke, the completely victorious spoke to Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra means one by whom the kingdom is held. Dhritarashtra, the one who holds the whole kingdom. So these are just the literal meaning of every word, every name has so interesting meaning. So we should remind ourselves. Sanjay Uvach. What did he speak? What is he saying to Dhritarashtra? He is narrating the plight of Arjuna. What has Arjuna done in last chapter? He has sat down in the chariot. His bow and arrow have slipped away from his hand. So, and that's what Sanjay is now reminding us all and reminding Dhritarashtra also. Tam tatha kripaya vishtam ashrupurna kulekshanam vishidantam idam vakyam uvacha madhusudana. So Madhusudana, Krishna, is going to speak now. The entry of the hero is going to happen soon. So Sanjay is telling Dhritarashtra and all of us, what is he saying? Sanjay is saying, Tam tatha kripaya vishtam. Tam, in that way, that person, him, tatha, in that way, kripaya, who is pitiable condition, miserable condition, avishtam, who is overpowered by this pity and sorrow and depression, kripaya vishtam, who? Arjuna. Tatha, in that way, kripaya vishtam, ashrupurna, who is crying, tearful, literally crying. Tears are rolling from his eyes. Ashrupurna kulekshanam. So downcast, disturbed, akula. Akula means again depressed and disturbed, agitated. Ikshanam, in his eyes, tears are rolling from his eyes and he is extremely disturbed. Vishidantam, he's full of Vishad. Arjun Vishad Yoga, first chapter's name was Arjun Vishad Yoga. So again, Sanjay, the author the narrator reminds us, the Vishidantam, who is Vishidantam? Arjun. Arjun, the depressed one, the despondent one. Idam Vakyam, this sentence, Idam Vakyam, Uvach, spoke. Who? Madhusudana. Krishna spoke this sentence to depressed, tearful, sitting down in the chariot, Arjuna, who is pitiable condition. Thus spoke Krishna to Arjuna, to that Arjuna. So once again, to complete the verse, Tam tatha kripaya vishtam ashrupurna kulekshanam vishidantam idam vakyam uvacha madhusudana. So that's the first line of the second chapter. Now the second line. Now the greatest of all, Sri Bhagavan Uvach. We have our greatest Bhagavan Krishna, Yogeshwar Krishna is entering the scene and he is speaking now. Sri Bhagavan Uvach. Now Bhagavan is an interesting word. Bhagavan comes from Bhag. Bhag gives us the word Bhagya. Bhagya means one who has all the blessings, who has all the accomplishments. Right? Saubhagyavati or Saubhagyavan. One who has good fortune. So Bhagavan means one who is the most blessed one, the most fortunate one. So we ask for good bhagya from Bhagavan. One who has good bhagya can bless us with good bhagya, right? One who has all those things, wealth and prosperity and whatever, all those things, good fortune, only then he can bless us. So the name is very meaningful. Like I said, every word is meaningful. Bhagavan Uvach, Sri Bhagavan Uvach. One who is the most fortunate one who is the most blessed one. Sri Bhagavan Uvach, he spoke. What did he speak? He is now straight away, no sugarcoating. He starts scolding Arjuna in a way. Kutastva kashmalam idam vishame samupasthitam anarya dushtam aswargyam akirtikaram Arjuna. What is happening to you, Arjun? Kutastva, from where? कहाँ से आए ये सब गंदे विचार? Kutastva, kashmalam. Kashmalam means this timidity, impurity, faint-heartedness, this weakness. Kashmalam, idam, this. This faint-heartedness, idam is neuter, napusaki. Like I said in the beginning, there are 3 genders in Sanskrit, long before LGBTQ or whatever sex revolution started in the West. Sanskrit already had 3 genders, masculine, feminine and neuter. So idam kashmalam, this neuter word, idam is a neuter pronoun. So pronoun can also be neutral. Masculine pronoun, feminine pronoun and neuter pronoun. Idam kashmalam kutastva vishame samupasthitam. Vishame, at the wrong time, samupasthitam is arising in you. All these negative thoughts. Anarya, this does not suit an Arya person. Arya is not racial word. Arya is cultural word. Qualitative term, qualitative adjective. Arya, who is noble one, who is very cultured and noble. Those who are cultured and noble cannot have these thoughts. So you're trying to cloak it, you're trying to disguise it with your non-violence and compassion and so on, but these are all not suitable to you, who is an Arya. Anarya, Jushtam, these are not acceptable to an Arya. Asvargyam, you will not go to heaven if you have these kind of thoughts. These do not belong to you. Akirtikaram, you will lose your prestige, your dignity, your kirti, your reputation will be all gone. Arjuna. Arjuna literally, once again to remind us, Arjuna literally simply means silver white, the color that I'm wearing today. So Arjuna. So, oh Arjuna, I keep saying Arjuna, sorry. Arjuna is the vocative. So Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. Oh Arjuna, all these things, from where did you get? So let me finish the second verse once again. Kutastva kashmalam idam vishame samupasthitam anaryajushtam asvargyam akirtikaram Arjuna. So that was the second verse. Let's go to third verse, chapter 2. Still, so we just started second chapter, third verse now. Klebhyam mas magamaha partha. Partha again vocative, he is speaking to Arjuna. Krishna is speaking. Na etat tvai upapadyate kshudram hriday dorbalyam tyaktva uttishta param tapa. Wonderful, wonderful line. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, oh param tapa, oh great tapasvi, param tapa. The translator here translates param tapa as scorcher of the foe. I don't agree with the translation. Param tapa simply means a great tapasvi, is in my opinion, because Arjuna, it's a great way to remind Arjuna that, oh Arjun, you did tapasya to fight and win this war. And you're forgetting your own tapasya and making all these excuses that I will adopt the path of non-violence and whatever. No, that is not your real tapasya. Real tapasya is not sitting in meditation and running away from war. Real tapasya is to fight this war because you're Ari, you're Kshatriya, right? So param tapa is the last word of this verse. And he also says Parth. He reminds Arjuna that you are Parth. What does it mean? Parth means son of Pritha, son of Pritha. Kunti's other name is Pritha. You are a Kaunteya. You are a son of Kunti. Kunti, whose children are all insulted and kicked out of their kingdom by Kauravas. Do not forget you are son of Kunti. Karna is not, probably indirectly one can sort of allude that he is also saying that you are a unique one. You are the sons of Kunti, including Arjuna and all the other 4 Pandavas. Karna is not son of Kunti officially. Probably not, he is not yet referring to Karna, but I am just making these connections. So what he is saying literally, let's see. Klabhyam, this cowardice, this kayarta, klabhyam, ma, not, never, sma, indeed, in truth, gamaha, masmagamaha, leave this cowardice, partha, Arjuna. Na etat, not this, tvai, in you, locative, inside you, tvai, upapadyate, this arising, or it's possible or according, so yeah, whatever is happening inside you is not suitable, not happening inside you. So Arjuna is being referred as if to do some introspection, look inside you, right? Whatever is happening inside you is to be rejected, to be given up, right? Kshudram, very narrow-mindedness, kshudram, right? Low, despicable, very basic tendencies that are arising in you that does not suit you. Hriday dorbalyam, durbalta, durbal means weakness. Hriday dorbalyam, hriday means heart, right? So the weakness of heart, this narrowness, this lowly attitude does not suit you. Tyaktva, chodkar, having reject all these things. Tyaktva, the root word is tyaj. Tyaj means to renounce, to leave. Tyaj gives us tyag. Tyaj gives us tyaktva. Tyaktva uttishta. Ut and av are 2 prefixes. Ut tells us to rise up. Ava always means to sit down. So here uttishta, get up, stand up, because he has already sat down in his chariot. So Krishna is telling, get up, stand up, paramtapa. So to complete the verse, klabyam mas magaha parth, klabyam mas ma gamaha partha, na etat tvai upapadyate, kshudram hridaya daurbalyam, tyaktva uttishta paramtapa. And last verse of this week, of this episode. Now Arjuna is again crying and he's speaking again. Arjuna Vach, the weak one here, as we know. He's still crying and so on, so very weak. So what he says, Katham bhishmamam aham sankhye dronam cha madhusudana ishubhihi pratiyosyami puja haravari sudana. Puja arhau ari sudana. So he's speaking to Krishna. Very weak, very, very despondent, depressed. He's saying, Katham, how? Bhishmam, aham sankhye, aham, I, sankhye, in the battlefield, in the war. Bhishmam, to Bhishma. Dronam, to Drona, my teacher, Drona, my elder, Bhishma. Dronam cha, so Bhishma and Drona, Dronam cha. Madhusudana, so he's talking to Krishna now. So Madhusudana is in vocative. Ishubhihi, with arrows. Pratiyosyami, how can I shoot them with my arrows? Bhishma and Drona, my elder, my teacher. Those who are worthy of puja. Puja arhau means those who are worthy of puja. Those whom I should worship, I should revere. How can I shoot them arrows? Arjuna is saying. Puja arhau arisudana. A very, very interesting epithet Arjuna uses for Krishna. O arisudana. O Krishna, you are the one who shoots and kills enemies. But Bhishma and Drona are not my enemies. These are my elders. So how can I shoot arrows on them? So he's making again emotional arguments, very interesting, pitiable or pitiful arguments he's making. Krishna is all riled up. He's trying to rile him up. But Arjuna is again crying and making very, very these weak kind of arguments. So to complete fourth verse, Katham Bhishmam aham sankhye dronam cha madhusudana ishubhihi pratiyosyami puja arhau arisudana. That is what Arjuna is saying. Fifth verse now, fifth shlok. Here we go. Gurun ahatva hi mahanubhavan shreyo bhoktum bhaiksham piha loke hatvarth kamans tu guru nihaiva bhunjiya bhogan rudhir pradigdhan. Heavy words by Arjun. Once again, he's arguing against fighting. So he's saying Gurun ahatva. Instead of killing ahatva, without killing his gurus, that is Bhishma and Drona and other elders, Mahanubhavan, Shreyaha, better, Bhoktum, Bhaiksham piha loke, that if I survive with begging for alms collection is better than killing my guru and my elders. Hatvarth kamans tu guru nihaiva, having killed my gurus and other elders, if I desire for wealth and prosperity, that would be Bhunjiya Bhogan Rudhir Pradigdhan. That would be enjoying my fruits of my labor, that is all the enjoyments that I'll get after killing my elders and teacher. Those pleasures will be soaked in blood. Rudhir Pradigdhan. Rudhir is blood. So he is again arguing, making all kinds of arguments. He is not willing to fight at all and not willing to hurt his elders and guru. By the way, from shlok 5th to 6th to 7th, next 3 shloks are in Trishtubh meter, which is 11 syllables in a line. All the other rest of all the Bhagavad Gita shloks are in shloka meter. The verses are in shloka meter, which are 8 syllables per line. So these 3 lines are in Trishtubh meter, just different meters the narrator has used. Alright, now shlok 6th verse. Na chaitad vidmaha katran no gariyo yadva jayem yadi va no jayeyuhu yan eva hatva na jiji vishamas te avasthitaha pramukhe dhartra rashtraha. Again he is making arguments not to fight, not to kill. Dhartra rashtraha, his cousins, all the Kauravas, te avasthitaha pramukhe. They are in front of us, avasthitaha, situated there. Yan eva hatva na jiji vishamah. I do not want to desire living having killed my cousins. So, na chaitad vidmaha katrano. I am not sure what is better, whether to hurt and kill my cousins or whether to stop this fighting. Yadva jayam yadiva no jayu. So he is confused again. He is saying that I don't know what is right, what is not right. So that completes our 6th verse. Na chaitad vidmaha katranno kariyo yadva jayem yadivano jayehu yan eva hatva na jiji vishamas te avasthitaha pramukhe dhatrashtra. Alright, now let's go to verse 7th. Karpanya dosho pahat swabhavaha. Now he's kind of self-introspection he's doing. So he's looking at his own nature, swabhavaha. Okay, let me read the first 7 first. Karpanya dosho pahat swabhavaha Prichhami tvam dharma sammud chetaha yat shreyah syan nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasya te aham shadhimam tvam prapannam. He's saying, my mind, my nature, swabhav, is filled with karpanya dosho pahat. That is pittiness, narrow-mindedness, poorness of spirit and pity. I feel very narrow, I feel very depression and so on. I feel very depressed. Prichhami, I ask you, tvam. Because my mind, dharma sammud chetaha, my mind, my chit is dharma sammud. I'm confused about my duty. Dharma is duty here. Sammud, confused. Yat shreyah syan nishchitam bruhitam. Bruhi, you speak. You tell me. Yat shreyah, what is right for me? What is good for me? What is better path for me to take? Nishchitam, so you know for certain, so you tell me. Shishyah, I surrender myself to you. Shishya, I am your disciple. Te aham, I, te, yours. Shadhi mam tvam prapannam. You take me in your refuge, in your sharan, and explain to me what is my duty. And then verse 8, the last verse for today. Nahi prapashyami mama apanyudat yat shokam ut shoshanam indriyanam avapya bhumau avasapatannamridam Rajyam Suranam Api Chadhipatyam. So again he's saying, I ask you because I do not see what is right to me, what is the right path for me to take. My senses, my organs are all dried up, are all drying up. Shoshanam, Indriyanam is his senses, organs. Yat shokam, I am filled with sorrow, my senses, my organs are all drying up, and I'm not sure if I want to enjoy the kingdom having killed my own people. So please explain to me. This is where Arjun stops. So let's read the 8th verse of the 2nd chapter again, and then Bhagavan Krishna Yogeshwar Krishna will start explaining to him once again in detail. So the 8th verse for 2nd chapter, Nahi prapashyami mama apanyutat yat shokam ut shoshanam indriyanam avapya bhumau avasapatnamriddham rajyam suranam api chadhipatyam. So that is the verse 8 for 2nd chapter, and that's where we stop, and we resume with the entry of Bhagavan Krishna, again re-entry, and he will explain all the details. 9th shlok. Sanjay makes his entry again. Sanjay Ovad. So as we know, Sanjay is the narrator, narrating to Dhritarashtra all what's going on in the battlefield. So Sanjay Ovad, Sanjay spoke. Sanjay, the completely victorious one, spoke to Dhritarashtra, the one by which the kingdom is held. Literal meanings. Evam uktva rishikesham Gudakeshaha param tapa nayotsya iti govindam uktva tushnin babhuva. So as we know, Arjuna has been crying and sinking and arguing against the war and so on. So this is his last line before Bhagavan Krishna makes his re-entry. So the verse says, Evam uktva, thus having spoken to Rishikesham, to the one whose hair are the brittle ones. So to Rishikesham, Rishikesh is the epithet or synonym for Krishna. Gudakeshaha param tapaha. Gudakesha is the epithet or synonym for Arjun. Gudakesha, Arjun's hair are also lengthy and special hair. So Arjun is speaking to Krishna, O Paramtapa, O a great tapasvi one. So this is how he spoke. And na yotsi iti, that I will not fight. From yudh to fight, we get future tense. Na yotse. So I will not fight. Iti, having thus spoken. Govindam, to Krishna, to Govindam. Govind, the cow herder. The leader of the cow herds. Govindam, so the one who finds cow, the one who takes care of cows. Another name for Krishna. Uktva tushnim babhuvaha. Having spoken, uktva, ye bolkar, aisa bolkar, tushnim, silent, babhuva. He became silent and stopped talking. He became silent, quiet. Now the 10th shlok, 10th verse. Tam uvach rishikeshah prahassan iva bharata senayor ubhayor madhye vishidantam idam vachaha. Tam uvach rishikeshah. Now Krishna is going to speak. Prahasan iva bharata. He is amused by Arjuna's arguments. So he's as if he's smiling, he's enjoying himself by all the arguments of Arjuna, the dejected Arjuna, the depressed Arjuna, the having sunk Arjuna. Senayor ubhayor madhye. Both in the middle of both the armies. Vishidantam idam vachaha. Vishidantam, the one who is depressed, the one who is filled with Vishad. Right? Remember the first chapter's name was Arjun Vishad Yog. So Arjun is under Vishad, Arjun is Vishidantam. Right? So he spoke to Arjuna, idam, this, vachaha, spoke. Who spoke? Now Krishna is going to speak to Arjuna. Second chapter's title is Sankhya Yoga, as we know. Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya is a major philosophy of Indian philosophical system. Sankhya may also have come from the root word Sankhya, which means battle. So maybe the yoga of the battlefield could also be the meaning of Sankhya Yoga, which is what we are doing in this second chapter. So 10th verse once again. Tam uvacha rishikeshah prahasan eva bharata senayor ubhayor madhye vishidantam idam vachaha. Krishna is going to speak now. 11th verse. So here we go. Shri Bhagwan Uvach, the most blessed one, the most fortunate one, like we mentioned in the previous episodes. Bhag gives us the word Bhagya. So one who is the most fortunate can only bless us with fortune. So that's why we call him Bhagwan. So Shri Bhagwan Uvach. What did he speak? So Krishna is speaking now. Ashocyan anvashochastvam. Ashocyan, ashochya. Shochya, for whom sorrow should be done. For whom one should be sorrowful. Ashochya. These are the people for whom sorrow is not to be done. Ashochya. So those kind of people for which sorrow need not be done. You are anvashochas, but you are being sorrowful for people who don't deserve our sorrow. Tvam, you. Pragyavadancha bhashase. And you speak like a great genius, great knowledgeable person, great scholar, pragya knowledge or intellect. You speak like a very knowledgeable person, bhashase, you talk like that, but you should not be doing this. Gatasun, agatasun. Whether they are gone or not gone, whether they are dead or not dead, you don't have to worry about all that. Na anushochanti panditaha. Panditaha is not pandit, is not the caste here, obviously not the varn here. Pandit is the one who is very knowledgeable. Real pragyavan people are not supposed to be sorrowful for people who don't deserve our sorrows. Right? So, 11th verse. Ashochan anvashochastvam pragyavadanshcha bhashase gatasun agatasun cha nanushochanti panditaha. Pandita, real people, real pandit, real knowledgeable people do not worry about people who are either dead or not dead. They don't deserve because they don't deserve our sorrow. And the 12th verse. Na tva iva aham jatu na asam, na tvam na ima I janadhipaha, na cha eva na bhavishyamaha, sarve vayam ataha param. Now this is a major departure from some of the Vaishnavite theology, which says that Vishnu or Brahma, some theology says Brahma created the world. Some theology in India also says that God created this world, maybe Vishnu created the world. But here Krishna is saying, there was not a time when you did not exist, I did not exist, when everybody did not. So he's saying, we all souls were always present in the universe. There was not a time when none of us were present. This sounds very similar to actually Jain philosophy, which says universe was not created, universe will not perish, universe was always here, and universe will continue to be here forever. Right? So time never started, time will never cease to exist. All souls have been in the universe forever. That is exactly what we find in this verse in the Bhagavad Gita, in this Hindu text called the Bhagavad Gita, where he is saying, truly there was never a time when I was not. Na tva iva aham jatu na asam. Nor you, nor those lords of men, Janadhipaha, kings, lords. These kings on the other side, or even in this side, these kings have always existed also. Right? And nor you, nor these lords of men. And neither will there be a time when we shall cease to be, from this time onward. So in the future, in the past, in the present, we always existed and will continue to exist in this universe. Why? Because the soul never perishes. Soul never started, soul was never born, soul will never die. Soul was always present in the universe. So all the souls that you see around you will always be here. So do not worry, and don't be sorrowful, because these people don't, these actions and these what is going to happen in the battlefield, in this battlefield, does not deserve our sorrow. You do your duty. So that is how Krishna starts. We are on chapter 2, verse 13. Here we go. Dehi naha asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantar praptir dhiraha tatra na muyati. So Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that just as the body takes childhood and the middle age and the old age and death, similarly, the one who is sitting inside the body also experiences these things. So he says, just as in the body, childhood, adulthood, and old age happen to an embodied being, so also he, the embodied being, acquires another body. So after death, that embodied being, the soul, takes another body. So he's already talking about Punarjanam, rebirth, transmigration, and we are just at verse 13, but he's already going into the details of the life after death and so on. So the wise one is not deluded about this. What he's saying is that don't worry about the death of your enemies, because the process is going to be ongoing. So that those who worry about life and death or old age or so on are deluded ones. So once again, Dehina asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantar praptir dhira tatra na muyati. Muyati is the verb that comes from moha. Moha means the delusion idea, which gives us the word moha. Moha means delusion or illusion, right? So muyati, dhiraha tatra na muyati. There, tatra there, yatra tatra sarvatra, here, there, and everywhere, right? That word, so tatra means there. Dhiraha, the wise one, na muyati, is not deluded based on these transition points. Verse 14, matra sparshaha tu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha agama pa ino nityas tans titikshasva bharata. So he's using two epithets, two synonyms for Arjun. In the beginning of this verse 14, he uses the word kaunteya. Why? Because he's saying matra sparshas tu kaunteya. Very interesting reference to his mother, Kunti. So kaunteya. And in the same segment, the word is matra sparshas. Matra here is referring to matter. So all maternal sensations, matra sparshas, sparsh means touching. So anything that is to do with material sensations are all being referred here. So he uses the word kaunteya as if that itself is also motherly or biological touch or biological birth itself is a temporary phenomenon, just like any other material thing, material phenomenon. So shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha, sheet, cold, ushna, hot, sukh and dukh, pleasure and happiness and sorrow, are all these temporary phenomena. So physical sensations truly, really, Arjuna, causing cold, heat, pleasure or pain, come and go, and they are impermanent. So third segment of this verse, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkhadaha, we did. Then Agama Paino Nityas. They come and then they go. They are anitya. All these things are temporary. The material sensations, material touches, material feelings, phenomena, cold, heat, pleasure and so on, sorrow and so on, they're all temporary. Tan, so then, titikshasva, be ready to withstand them, endure them, become strong and realize that these things are temporary. Bharata, O descendant of Bharata, the Arjuna, he's another synonym for Arjun. Be very resilient to be able to see the difference between what is temporary and what is not temporary. So to complete verse 14, matra sparshas tu kaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha, agama paino anityaha,
Tans titikshasva bharata. Then verse 15. Yam hi na vyathayantate purusham purusharshava samadukha sukha dhiram so amritatvaya kalpate. One who is not bothered by these temporary phenomena. Vyathayantate, that is vyatha, one who is not getting affected by these temporary phenomena. Purusham purusharshava, bull among men, one who is solid and strong among the men, is not easily affected by these temporary phenomena. He can take care of some, he is so balanced and unequivocal between dukha and sukh. And dhiram, he is wise. So amritatva, so that itself is the feeling of immortality. So indeed the man whom these, that is sensations, do not afflict, O Arjuna, the wise one to whom happiness and unhappiness are the same, is ready for immortality. He is already ready for immortality. Then the verse 16, Nasato vidyate bhavo, na abhavo vidyate satah, ubhuyoho api drishtaha antas, tu anayoho tattvadarshibhi. The one who is tattvadarshi, the one who is a living philosopher, not just talking philosopher or writing philosopher, but who lives by philosophy, the real philosophy. Tattva means that which is the ultimate reality. One who can comprehend the ultimate reality knows that there is not a time when there is untruth being present in the universe or truth being non-present in the universe. Truth is always present, untruth is always absent. So it is found that the unreal has no being. It is found that there is no non-being of the real. The certainty of both these propositions is indeed surely seen by the perceiver of truth. So those who are real wise people can see the difference between truth, which is eternal, which is soul, and untruth, which is body and other material things that are temporary. So if you can if you can discern this difference, then you will not be affected by these things and you will be ready for immortality. We are on now shlok number 17 in second chapter. Here we go. Avinashi tu tad viddhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham avyavasya asya na kashchim kartum arhati. Beautiful words making me smile. It's such excellent words are used here. So Avinashi we know, non-perishable. Tu tad viddhi, know that something that is imperishable. Viddhi is imperative, lot lakar. So Krishna is telling Arjun, please know that something that is imperishable. What? Yen sarvam idam tatam, by which everything else is possible in this universe. It is pervaded by that imperishable object. Vinasham avyavasya asya, that is vinasham avyavasya, avyaya, which means that which cannot decay, which cannot perish. That destruction of that is impossible. Na kaschit kartum arhati, and even if somebody tries to destroy that, he or she cannot do it. So to complete verse 17th, know that by which all this universe is pervaded is indeed indestructible. No one is able to accomplish the destruction of the imperishable. So talking about the soul or even Brahman, going even further beyond that, Brahman is that which makes this entire universe, which pervades in the entire universe, and destruction of Brahman is impossible by anybody, even if somebody tries. Now verse 18th. Antvant ime deha nityasya uktaha sharirinaha anashinaha aprameyasya tasmat yuddhasva bharata. So on the one hand, Krishna is talking all these high philosophical ideas, Brahman and Atman, and on the other hand, very grounded, he's immediately telling Arjuna, fight, tasmat yuddhasva bharata, in this verse 18th last part. But to start verse 18, antavant ime deha. These bodies are antavant, with end. Bodies will end. Nityasya uktaha sharirinaha. But the embodied being inside the body is nitya, again eternal, imperishable. Anashinaha apremeyasya. So it cannot be measured, aprameya. Anashina, again imperishable, eternal. So verse 18, completing verse 18, these bodies inhabited by the eternal, the indestructible, the immeasurable, embodied self, that is soul, are set to come to an end. Therefore, fight, Arjun. Bodies will end, soul will not end. So, Arjun, fight. So, very clear. And then verse 19. Ya enam veti hantaram. Yah cha enam manyate hatam. Ubhau tauna vijanito. Na ayam hanti na hanyate. One who considers himself the murderer, or one who considers others having been killed, both are losing the point, both are missing the point. This soul cannot be destroyed, this soul cannot kill, the soul cannot be destroyed. So completing verse 19, he who imagines this, the embodied self, the slayer, and he who imagines this, the embodied self, the slain, neither of them understands this, the embodied self, that is soul, does not slay, nor is it slain. So hantam, hantaram is the one who kills, hatam is one who is killed, past participle, hantaram is that with the agency, but the same root, hunt, which gives us in English word hunt, to kill. Same words. So Greek, Latin and Sanskrit roots we are here exploring. Excellent words here. And then verse 20, second chapter continuing. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavitavan bhuyah ajah nityah shashvatah ayam puranah na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So if we start from the last part of this verse 20, sharir is hanyaman. The body will die, body will perish, but the soul, coming to the beginning of verse 20, na jayate, it doesn't get born, na mriyate, it doesn't die, kadachin, ever, na ayam bhutva, bhavitavana bhuyah. So neither is this the embodied self born, nor does it die at any time, nor having been, will it again come not to be, so it will always eternally be present in the universe. So it's birthless, ajaha, birthless. Ja word is very interesting. If we add ja with any other noun, such as my own name, Pank and Ja, Pankaj. Ja is the sense of birth or born. One who is born in mud is lotus, Pankaj. So here, ajaha, unborn, nitya, eternal, shashvatah, imperishable, perpetual, ayam, this, puranaha, primeval, we don't know when it started, puranaha, beginningless. Na hanyate hanuman. So soul is all the qualities of soul. He's explaining Brahman, quality of Brahman. He's explaining ajaha, unborn, nityaha, eternal, shashvataha, perpetual, and puranaha, primeval or beginningless. Those are all the qualities of the soul that Krishna is describing. And again reminding Arjun, focus on the soul, do your duty, kill the bodies. Even if bodies are killed, you don't have to worry, because those are not to be sorry about. So you just do your duty and leave me the result.
The verses about the immortality of the soul and the Nashvar Sharir and the Shashvat Atma is what we are discussing in these verses, and that is what was happening behind the scenes. Anyway, so 21st verse, second chapter we are on. Veda vinashinam nityam ya enam ajam avyayam katham sa purushaha partha kam ghatayati hantikam. Very relevant, as I say. He who knows this, the indestructible, the eternal, the birthless, the imperishable, in what way does this man cause to be slain, Arjuna? Whom does he slay? So basically Krishna is explaining to Arjuna still in second chapter, the Sankhya Yoga chapter, that the soul is imperishable, eternal, cannot be pierced, cannot be destroyed, cannot be harmed. So who can harm such a permanent, such a immortal phenomenon that is soul? That is what is happening in this verse 21st. Interesting word, Ved avinashinam nityam. Ved is the Vedas, are the scriptures of Hinduism, as we all know, the most sacred texts, the most ancient texts of humankind, most likely, certainly of India. So Ved means to know, right? Ved is also the set of the texts. Ved also gives us the word video, which means to view anything. So the entire process of knowledge in Indian culture is to visualize the knowledge. That is why philosophy, we call it darshan in our culture. Darshan is philosophy. Philosophy is not just writing books and debating and arguing, but to visualize, to practice that knowledge, to see that knowledge, to visualize that knowledge. So that is why Ved gives us the word video. So just to make an interesting observation here, avyayam is another word, interesting word here. Avyayam, vyaya means to spend, right? Mitvyaya, one who spends frugally, right? Apavyaya, one who wastes wealth carelessly, ruthlessly. Avyayam, that which never gets wasted, that which never gets spent. Avyaya, what is avyaya? The soul is avyaya. Katham sa purushaha partha. Partha is the name of Arjun, obviously. From his mother Pritha, Kunti is the name, synonym of Kunti. Pritha is synonym of Kunti. So Parth is the son of Pritha, becomes Parth. Kam ghate hanti kam. Hanti. Hanti gives us the word hunt in English. Hunt, to kill. Hunt, to kill. Sanskrit and English, same word, same sound even. Hunt and hunt. Alright, 22nd verse now, second chapter. Very, very popular, I'm sure everybody has already heard this verse many, many times. Vasansi jeenani yatha vihaya, navani grinnati naroparani, tatha sharirani vihaya jeenani, anyani sanyati navani dehi. Extremely relevant in my life as we discuss this verse. Vasansi jeenani yatha vihaya. Vasansi, clothes, jeenani, torn away clothes, yatha vihaya, to having abandoned. Navani grinati naroparani, the new clothes are being accepted. Tatha sharirani vihaya jeenani. Just like old clothes are being cast away, the old bodies are also cast away by the soul, and the body takes on the new body. Soul takes on the new body as the soul travels through different lifetime, the process of transmigration or punarjanam is what Krishna is explaining here. 23rd verse, going further. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakah, na chainam kledayanti na shoshayati maruta. What is soul? Soul is that which cannot be pierced by weapons. Soul cannot be burned down by fire. Soul cannot be dried up by, cannot be made wet by water. And soul cannot be dried by wind. Soul is beyond the weapons, beyond fire, beyond water, and beyond air. The physical elements cannot touch soul. That is what that properties of soul that Krishna is explaining to Arjuna. Of course, the body gets cremated, body gets burnt down in Hindu rituals, Hindu, Jain, and Buddhist rituals. The bodies are cremated, bodies are burnt down after the death. But soul cannot be touched by fire, water, or weapons, or air. 24th verse. Now, achhedyayam adahayam akledya ashoshya evacha nityah sarvakatah sthanur achalaha ayam sanatana. So soul is that which cannot be pierced, which cannot be burnt, which cannot be wetted or withered. Soul is eternal, all-pervading, fixed, and unmoving and primeval. Soul has always been there. Soul will remain in this universe until the soul attains its moksha and merges with Brahman according to Hindu philosophy, the non-dual philosophy. Until then, the soul is always traversing from one body to the next body. To read the 24th verse once again. Achhedyah ayam adhayah ayam akledyah ashoshya evacha nityah sarvagatah sthanur achalaha ayam. Verse 25th. Avyaktaha ayam achintyaha ayam avikaryah ayam uchyate tasmat evam viditvainam nanushochitum arhasi. So again Krishna is still trying to console Arjuna. Do not be sorrowful, do not worry about what is going to happen in this war. Do not worry, because he's describing the property of the soul or Brahman. Avyaktaha, that which does not manifest. Achintyaha, that which is unthinkable. Avikaryaha, that which is unchanging. So these are the three words, and all three are gerunds, which means that what cannot be thought, achintyaha, comes from chint, to think. Chint becomes achintyaha, that which cannot be thought about. Vikar means change. Avikaryaha, that which does not change. Right? Similarly, vyaktaha and avyaktaha. Vyaktaha, that is manifest or spoken about. Avyaktaha, that which cannot be manifested. So that is the quality of the soul. So that which is, having understood this way, you should not mourn. So to read this verse again, avyaktaha ayam, achintyaha ayam, avikaryaha ayam, uchyate, that which is spoken about. People say that the soul is this, avyaktaha, achintyaha, avikaryaha, uchyate, passive voice. Tasma, therefore, evam, viditvainam, having known this, viditva, dekhkar, jankar, with, again, same root that gives us the word ved that we saw last time, ved which gives us the word video. So viditvainam, that having visualized that, how can you worry about what is going to happen? Why should you mourn? So it is said that this is unmanifest, unthinkable, unchanging. Therefore, having understood in this way, you should not mourn. All right, 26th verse. Atha cha enam nityajatam nityam va manyase vritam tathapi tvam mahabaho nainam shochitum arhasi. That's the key word, key line. Every verse is ending with this. Na enam shochitum arhasi. You should not mourn for this, Arjuna. Why? Here, 26th verse, he's saying, Atha cha enam, nityajatam. This is unborn, ever born, nityajatam. Nityam va manase mritam. So this is eternally born, eternally dead. Right? It is neither born, neither dead. This is the soul quality again that he's talking about. So nityam va manase mritam, eternally born, eternally dead. So Mahabaho, which large, one who has large arms, that is Arjuna, the Kshatriya. How can you worry about these things which are unthinkable, unmanifest, and ever born, ever dead? 27th verse, very extremely popular. Many of you already know this verse. Jatasya hi dhruvaha mrityuhu dhruvam janma mrutasya cha tasmat apariharyerthe natvam shochitum arhasi. You should not mourn. Again, the same punchline ending this verse also. Natvam shochitum arhasi. You cannot mourn. You should not mourn. Why you should not mourn? Here the logic is Jatasya hi dhruvaha mrityu. Dhruvaha means Dhruv Tara, Dhruv star, North Pole star, right? Pole star is Dhruv Tara in Indian language, Indian civilization, Indian culture, Indian languages. So Pole star is called as Pole star. Dhruv Tara is called as Dhruv Tara because that star gave direction to the travelers in ancient times, in medieval times. So Dhruv decided their path of journey. Dhruv gave them certainty. So Dhruv, which means certainty. Dhruv, which it is going to happen. It is certain. Jatasya, that who is born. He dhruvaha, mrityuhu, his or her death is certain. Similarly, dhruvam janma mrutasya cha. Death is also certain, one who is born. Right? So mrityuhu is certain, one who is born, his death is certain. For the born, death is certain. For the dead, there is certainly rebirth. So he's talking about rebirth principle here. Tasmata apariharthi. Therefore, for this inevitable in consequence, you should not mourn. This is the rule of the universe. This is the eternal law that the birth converts into death. The death comes back to this world having taken the next birth. So 28th verse now. Avyaktadini bhutani vyakta madhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana. Beings are such that their beginnings are unmanifest. Avyakta adini. Adi means beginning. Avyakta unmanifest. Adini bhutani. Bhut is not ghost here. Bhut means beings. Right? Bhut, that one who that exists, is called bhut. So those bhutani, those neuter, it's napunsakling. So all the beings in the universe, their beginnings are uncertain. We don't know where we come from. Our beginnings are uncertain. We suddenly appear in our mother's womb. But what happens, how that happens, how our beginning starts, that is unmanifest. Vyakta madhyani, yes, our middle part is certain. Our birth is not certain. Our middle part, that is until we are alive, that part is certain, that part is manifest. Bharata, Arjuna, he is talking to Arjuna again. Avyakta nidhana anyeva. But our death again is uncertain. We don't know where we go after death. What happens to our body, our soul, we don't know. So beings are such that their beginnings are unmanifest, their middles are manifest, but their ends are unmanifest again. So what complaint can there be over this? How can you complain that which is already unclear? Even birth is unclear. then death is also unclear. So why worry or why be mournful to that which is unclear, completely unclear? Verse 29, second chapter. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschit enam, ascharyavat vadati tatha eva cha anyah, ascharyavat cha enam anyah shrunoti, shrutva api enam veda na cha eva kaschit. So a lot of ascharya words here. Somebody sees this with wonder, perceives this with a wonder. Somebody talks about it as a wonder. Some other person, some other people may be hearing about this as a wonder. What is it? The soul. The soul can be perceived as a wonder. The soul can be heard as a wonder. Soul can be talked about as a wonder. But do people really know the soul? That is what Krishna is asking Arjuna, that most of us, people of common wisdom, common knowledge, common understanding, do not really know the reality of the soul. That's what the last part of this verse says. Shrutva api enam, having heard about it, vedana cha eva kaschit. Rarely, if ever, people know about soul. Next verse. Dehi nityam avadhyo ayam, dehe sarvasya bharata, tasmat sarvani bhutani, natvam shochitum arhasi. So, Krishna's favorite words are back here. Natvam shochitum arhasi. You do not behoove to mourn over this, because the soul, first of all, is not even known by most of us. And in this verse he's saying, Dehi nityam, the soul is inside the body. It's nityam, is eternal. Avadhya, it cannot be harmed. And it is tasmat sarvani bhutani dehe sarvasya. So the soul exists in everybody's body. In all the beings in their body, there is the soul. So soul is eternal and it cannot be harmed, even if the bodies can be harmed. But the soul is harmless, it remains harmless. That's what Krishna is explaining to Arjuna in many, many different ways, the reality of the soul. Then the 31st verse, very important. Swadharmam api chaveksha na vikampitum arhasi dharmyat dhi yuddhat shreyaha anyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. So Krishna is applying different tactics and different ways of convincing Arjuna that he must fight. So here he comes to the point, most direct, highlighting his varna, his role as a kshatriya. So he says, Swadharma, your Swadharma, Arjuna, you have to perceive that. Swadharmam api cha aviksha. Iksh comes from the root word iksh, to see. Iksh is connected with akshi or chakshu, which means the eyes. So if you see your own dharma, your own duty, your own virtue, na vikampitum arhasi, it does not behoove you to be equivocal and confused and in dilemma. Right? Vikampit, kampan. Your mind should not be in kampan. Your mind should be stable, steady, not shivering, not shaking, not in dilemma, not in any dichotomy. Dharmyat dhi yuddhat shreha anyat. For kshatriyas, nothing is known to be of higher value, of higher dharma than to fight in a war. So you must fight. And this 32nd verse, in continuation, he says, Yadruchaya cha upapannam swargadvaram apavratam sukhina kshatriyaha partha labhante yuddham idrasham. So again he's saying, for kshatriyas, let's say by divine grace or divine destiny or by luck, by some chance, even if a kshatriya gets a chance to enter the heaven, the paradise, swargadvaram apavratam, vratam is to cover, apavratam, opening of the dwar of swarg, the door of the heaven, the paradise. Dwar is connected with the Hindi Urdu, Persian word darwaza, and it's also connected with many European languages words which have similar words such as door, dwar, darwaza, all have same cognate, same sound, same word. So even if those doors are open, even if that door is singular here, dwaram, the door of the gateway of the heaven, even if that is opened, the Kshatriyas will always prefer to fight in a war. So that is the highest duty of Kshatriya, that's the highest virtue. So you have to perceive your own dharma, Arjuna, O Partha, son of Pritha, the Kunti, his mother Kunti. So as a As a Kshatriya, your duty is to fight, your virtue is to fight, and moreover, the soul which cannot be seen, cannot be really perceived by common people. So do not mourn over that which is beyond harm, beyond, and it's eternal. So regardless of what is happening to the body, you must fight as a Kshatriya. Verse 33, 33rd verse, chapter 2nd. Atha chet tvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tatah swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapsasi. Very interesting. Krishna almost applying all kinds of strategies, sam, dam, dand, bhed, to convince Arjun to fight. What is he saying now? Here he is saying, Atha chetam, atha, now, then, chet, if, tvam, you, imam, this, dharmyam, interesting term. Dharma, everybody knows that meaning dharma is duty, virtue, religion, philosophy, tradition, so many things, cosmic rhythm, cosmic order, law, and so on and so forth. But here it's not dharma. The word is dharmyam, the doable dharmyam, the doable dharma, that is almost like kartavyam, right? That which should be done as a duty, dharmyam. So the translator here translates as lawful, dutiful, proper, almost like kartavya. Kartavya and dharmyam sounds very similar. Dharma means also duty, but dharmyam, that should be dutiful or doable. Dutiful, yeah, that's how he also translates. So, atha chet tvam imam dharmyam. If what is your duty, dutiful, if you don't do, sangramam na karishyasi. What is your duty as a Kshatriya? To fight as a warrior. Sangramam, everybody knows, sangram is to fight, the war, right? The fight, the army, the battle and so on. Sangramam na karishyasi. No, karishyasi, future tense, singular, third person, karishyasi. If you do not do sangramam, the battle, which is your duty, dharmyam, kartavyam, then what happens? Tataha, then, swadharmam kirtim cha, your own dharmam and your own kirti, your dignity, your prestige, your reputation. What happens to all that? Hitva papam avapsasi. That will all go down and you will obtain pap. Tumhe pap lagega. You will obtain pap. You will gain pap. Usually pap is translated as sin, but pap is that negative karma that you will accrue if you do not do what is dutiful. Karishyasi comes from root kri, to do or to act. Swadharma, we know. Kirtim, kirti is a very common term across many Indian languages, which means reputation and so on, glory, fame and so on. Hitva is an interesting term. Hitva papam avapsasi. Hitva is coming from ha, which means to avoid. So having avoided, hitva papam avapsasi. If you avoid your war, your duty, you will obtain pap. Avapsasi, you will obtain. Apnutui and other words are very common from this root. Ap means to obtain. Prapt karna or avapsasi. Alright, so to complete 33rd. Atha chet tvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tatah swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapsasi. Tumhe pap lagega, you will gain pap. Alright, next verse, 34th. Akirtim cha api bhutani kathiyashyanti te avyayam sambhavitasya cha akirtir marnat atirichyate. Lot of pressure from Krishna. What happens if you don't war, if you don't fight, if you don't do your duty as a warrior? Akirtim cha api bhutani. The other beings, other people will talk about your bad reputation. They will say negative things about you. People will speak of your undying infamy. Undying. Why undying? Because second part of this first verse, kathishyanti te avyayam. Avyayam, again, an interesting word here. Avyayam, vyaya means to spend. Avyaya, that which never gets spent. Apavyaya, I mentioned in the previous episode also. Apavyaya, that who spends very wisely. Apavyaya is a lot of wastage. Mitvyaya is that one who spends very wisely. Avyaya, that which never gets spent. So your bad reputation, your negative things about you will be talked about people forever. They will never get spent. They will never get stopped. So eternally, forever, they will talk negatively about you. Akirtim cha api bhutan. Akirtim, negative reputation, right? Cha api bhutani, beings, kathishyanti, they will speak about, they will talk about. They, avyayam, forever. Sambhavitasya cha akirtir marnat atirichyate. If one who has his honor that he has gained with so much efforts, if he loses that honor, that dignity, that reputation, that is even worse than death. That's what Krishna is again applying a lot of psychological pressures here. So he's saying, Marnat, even worse than death. Ati richyati. Atirek is the extreme, right? There's a very common term in Indian languages, atirek, which means extremity. Atirichyate. So even death, this bad reputation is even surpasses death, even worse than death. That's what he's saying. So to complete this 34th verse, akirtim cha api bhutani kathiyashyanti te avyayam sambhavitasya cha akirtir marnat atirichyati. And also people will relate your undying infamy, and for one who has been honored, disgrace is worse than dying. Your bad reputation is worse than your death. 35th verse now. Hayat ranat uparantam mansyante tvam maharathaha yesham cha tvam bahumato bhutva yasyasi laghavam. Bhayat ranat upratam. If you run away, if you withdraw from the war out of fear, what they will talk about you? That you're running away from this battlefield out of fear. That's a great disgrace to a great warrior like Arjun. You know, he has never even experienced any kind of fear ever in his life. And now he will, if he gets the stigma on his character that he's very fearful, he's scared of Kauravas, that would be extremely dangerous, extremely worse than dying, worse than death even. Right? So that's what Krishna is now putting the pressure. Bhayat ranat upratam. If you withdraw from war out of fear, mansyante tvam maharathaha. That even the great people, those who are very dignified people, will talk about you, that's what the opinion they will form about you, that you are running away, withdrawing from the battlefield out of fear. Mansyante comes from the root word man, which gives us interesting terms: man, manishi, manish, mat, matavlambi. All those words, root is man. Man means to think, right? Man, mind. To think is a verb. So they will think, they will form an opinion about you that you're running away from battlefield out of fear. Yesham cha tvam bahumat. Those who spoke highly about you, even they will form negative opinion about you. Bhutva yasyasi laghavam. So now they will speak little about you. They will speak low about you. Laghu is giving us this word laghavam. Laghu and dirgh. Laghu means small, dirgh means large, right? Laghu katha, short story. Dirgh katha, maybe an epic. So to complete 35th verse, the great warriors will think that you have abstained from the battle through fear. And among those by whom you have been held in high esteem, those who spoke highly about you, you shall come to be held lightly. Laghu, laghavam. And 36th verse. Avachya vadanscha bahun vadishyanti tav ahitaha nindantas tav samarthyam tataha dukkha taram tu kim. And your enemies will speak many words of you that should not be spoken. Avachya. Words that should not be spoken, they will speak like that. Vadan. They will speak the words that are not supposed to be spoken, especially for you. Vadishyanti. They will speak. Vad is to speak. Vadishyanti. Future tense, plural, third person. So they will speak. Tav ahitaha. Ahitaha, hostile. Hit is beneficiary. Ahit, hostile or negative, again animosity, full of animosity. So they will speak like that for you, deriding your capacity. So they will also deride your capacity. What greater hardship is there than that? Tataha dukh taram tu kim. Dukh taram. Dukh is hardship. Dukh taram is, can there be anything worse than that people will talk negatively about you? They will deride your capacities. They will speak ill of you. So verse 37. Hataha va prapsyasi swargam jitva va bhokshase mahim tasmat uttishta kaunteya yuddhaya krit nishchayah. Alright, so Krishna once again applying all kinds of psychological techniques in trying to convince Arjun to fight. Here he says, Hataha va, if you are slain, if you are killed in this war, prapsyasi swargam, you will obtain the heaven, the paradise. So if you are defeated in the war, if you are slain in the war, killed in the war, you will still obtain the swarg, the heaven. But jitva va bhokshase mahim, But having won the war, if you win the war, bhokshase, you will enjoy, you will consume, you will be relishing mahim, in the sense you will conquer the land. So if you are slain, you go to heaven. If you win, you get the land. So in both cases, your duty is to fight. Either win or lose, you have still win-win situation. Even if you win, you get the land. If you lose, that is, you're killed, you go to heaven. So applying that, trying to lure Arjun back to fight. So all kinds of carrots and sticks he's applying to convince Arjun to fight. Then, tasmat uttishta kaunteya. Tasmat, therefore, from then, that is, therefore, uttishta, arise, kaunteya, son of Kunti. Fight, uttishta, stands, because Arjun has already fallen down in his chariot. He is sitting down, his limbs are all still weak and so on. So Krishna is saying, get up and fight. Yuddhaya, for war, kritnishchaya. Be determined, be convinced, be determined, be resolved to fight. So the Winthrop Sargeant's translation says here, either having been slain, you shall attain heaven, or having conquered, you shall enjoy the earth. Therefore, stand up, Arjun, resolved to fight. So, hataha va prapsisi swargam, jitva va bhokshase mahim, tasmat uttishta kaunteya, yuddhaya kritnishchaya. 38th verse now. Sukha dukkhe same kritva, labh alabhav jaya ajayau, tataha yuddhaya yujjasva, na evam papam avapsasi. So again, Krishna is saying, sukh or dukh, victory or loss, be equanimous, be of balanced mind, right? Be of samaha, equal, kritva, keep your mind balanced. Labha, alabha, profit, loss, jaya, ajaya, victory, defeat, sukh, dukh, sorrow or happiness. Tataha, be of equal mind, be balanced mind. Tataha yuddhaya, therefore, for war, yujjasva, be united, be yoked, right? Yujjasva, root word yuj of yog. Yoga comes from the root word yuj. Yuj means to unite, to yoke in English. So yuddhaya, for yudh, for war. Yujjasva, second person singular. Be join the fight, literally. Join the fight, join the battle, join the war. Be involved in the war. Na evam papam avapsasi, so that you do not incur pap, sin or evil or pap. You should not obtain. If you abandon the war, you will obtain only pap. But be active in the war, be involved in the war, and keep your mind balanced. Sukha dukkhe same kritva, labha alabhav jaya ajayahu, tataha yuddhaya yujjasva, na evam papam avapsasi, holding pleasure and pain to be alike, likewise gain and loss, victory and defeat, then engage in battle, thus you shall not incur evil. 39th verse. Now comes the controversy here, interesting controversy. Eshaha te abhihita sankhye buddhihi yoge tu imam shrunu buddhaya yuktaha yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. Esha te abhihita sankhye. This is what has been explained or has been mentioned or has been spoken about in Sankhya. Now, Sankhya word here is a really deep meaning, deep word. It can be very deep meaning because Sankhya Yoga is an important branch of the Shad Darshan of Indian philosophy. There are 6 Astic system of philosophies, 3 Nastic systems of philosophy. Nastics are the Buddhists, Jains, and Charvakas. Astikas are, one of the Astikas is Sankhya Yoga, right? Vedanta and Sankhya and Vaisheshika and so on. But Sankhya here, Sankhya actually means simply number. Sankhya is number. Sankhya has been mentioned earlier in the verses, simply means battle or war. Right? When Arjun tells Krishna to take his chariot in the middle of the battlefield, that time the word used is Sankhya. Establish my chariot in the middle of the battle. So here Sankhya could mean either Sankhya Yoga, the philosophy, or simply battle. That this is how the battlefield, people have spoken about the battlefield, that if you win, you go to heaven. If you lose, you go to heaven. If you win, you enjoy your victory, you enjoy your land, the land that you conquer. So All the translations I referred just to prepare for this episode by Lokmanya Tilak, Mahatma Gandhi, and various Swamijis, even the Sir Arnold's translation done during the British Raj, everybody has missed these two interpretations of the word Sankhya. Sankhya has two meanings, Sankhya Yoga, and Sankhya simply means battle. So is it battle or Sankhya Yoga? Everybody has jumped onto the word interpretation Sankhya Yoga. That Sankhya Yoga says sannyas. And now Krishna is transitioning from Sankhya Yoga to Karma Yoga. They have just applied their own interpretation. There is no such mention in the original Sanskrit. That is why I'm using Winthrop Sargeant's translation published by SUNY Press in New York, where he is not putting his 2 cents of philosophy. Everybody else is so eager to bring the Hindu philosophy of renunciation or Karma Yoga. Tilak says, enough of renunciation, now act in Karma Yoga. And everybody else tries to do the similar, interpolation of their own biases, their own philosophical preference, they insert into the main text. Winthrop Sargeant is not doing that, and I'm sticking to Winthrop Sargeant. I don't want to bring here Sankhya Yoga or Karma Yoga. No, there is no such division as yet, at least to my understanding. He is simply saying, this is how it has been mentioned in Sankhya. In Sankhya means, probably he's talking about, this is how the warriors have prepared to fight in the battle, that if you win, you enjoy. If you lose, you go to heaven. That is simple statements he has given so far. There is no deep philosophy as yet. So why should we interpret Sankhya to mean Sankhya Yoga? That is my contention. All right, the next verse, next part of the second verse, 39th verse. Eshate abhihita Sankhya. This is how it has been mentioned in the Sankhya. Buddhihi yoge tu imam shunu. So now, listen to me, tu imam, this, shunu, listen. Yoge, with yoga, buddhihi yoga. Now people have interpreted buddhi yoga to mean karma yoga or whatever. This buddhi yoga could simply means that you apply your mind, your intellect, and listen to me carefully, Arjun. It's simply Krishna is talking to Arjun. And he's invoking his intellect, buddhi. Buddhaya yukto yaya partha, Arjun. And by yoking your intellect to my speech, karma bandham prahasyasi. You will break the bondages of karma, your action. Because Arjun is developing new bonds in his mind, attachments even to Kauravas, and of course to Bhishma, Drona and other and his elders. So he is reluctant to fight. Krishna is simply saying, apply your intellect, listen to me carefully, and if you listen to me carefully and if you follow me, you will break the bondages of attachment. That is my humble submission, my humble interpretation, which is different from all the major commentators that I've referred so far. So 39th verse to complete. This insight is wisdom. Okay, here translation Winthrop Sargeant is also bringing Sankhya, unfortunately. This insight is wisdom as declared in the theory of Sankhya, which I was reluctant to bring in, but here he goes. Now here it is as applied in arduous practice. Yog with this determination, Arjun, you shall rid yourself of the bondage of karma. So yes, karma bondage, everybody's translation says that you need to break the bondage of attachment. But that bondage you break, I think Krishna is saying simply by following his words, by listening his words with intellect. I don't think there is a distinction here between renunciation and karma yoga yet. I know it's coming up soon. Karma yoga is coming up very soon. In fact, Lokmanya Tilak calls Bhagavad Gita itself as Karma Yoga Shastra. That the Bhagavad Gita is all about Karma Yoga. And partially right. I partially agree with that. But it is not just Karma Yoga. He is not yet, at least. Because Bhagavad Gita is about Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raj Yoga. All the yogas are mentioned in different parts of the Bhagavad Gita. So why should we make this distinction so early? This is the 39th verse in 2nd chapter. All right, let's keep going to the next verse, verse 40, chapter 2nd. Neha bhi kramanashah asti pratyavayo na vidyate. Excellent word here, pratyavayo na vidyate. Svalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Very, very interesting line here. I think one of the most favorite lines that I have heard this line, pratyavayo na vidyate, many, many times from Pujya Pandurang Shastri Athavale, Dadaji in Swadhyaya, the founder of Swadhyaya. He passed away in 2003. He has given a lot of discourses on the Bhagavad Gita where he says, and the Bhagavad Gita line here says, Neha bhi kramanasho asti. So he Here in this yoga, no effort is lost. Any positive action that we do to attain our goal, even if we lose, we always reap the benefits of even that little action, little karma that we do. We always benefit from those karma, even from the little action. Pratyavayo na vidyate. It is never wasted. It's never perished. It never disappears. Pratyavayo na vidyate. Pratyavayo means diminution, reverse, or contrary course, opposite action. You can't just go back. Once you start progressing in your towards your goal, neither can you go back, and nor your little action is wasted. They all add up. Swalpam api asya dharmasya. Swalpam, little. Swalpam gives the Kannada word salpa, which means same meaning. Very little. Even some effort. Swalpam, salpa in Kannada. Little, thoda, kuch in Hindi or Urdu. Little effort, api, even the little effort, asya dharmasya, of the dharma, trayate mahato bhayat, it redeems you from all fear. Right? So here in the translation it says, no effort is lost, nor is any loss of progress found. Even a little of the discipline protects one from great danger. So this is how he has translated as great danger, but I would simply say it frees you from all kinds of fear. Bhaya means fear, not danger, I think, in my opinion. So it trayate, protects. Trayate, trahimam is very common phrase which is used even in Hindi. Trahimam is when you invoke a deity and ask the deity to free you from difficulties or from fear, you say trahimam, mam to me, trahi, redeem me or free me or protect me. So here that's what is going on. So trayate mahato bhayat. It protects you, redeems you from all kinds of fear even if you apply little effort.
Verse 41st, chapter 2nd. Here we go. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ek ih kuru nandana bahu shakha hi anantaha cha buddhayah avyavasayinam. So Krishna has been explaining to Arjun that be determined in your resolution, be resolved to fight, right? Be focused and so on. So now the word that is used here is vyavasayatmika buddhi, means the intellect, the mind, the buddhi that is determined, that has one clear purpose, clear intention. Probably that's what has given us, we now equate vyavasaya with enterprise. But enterprise is not possible without intention or without purpose. So vyavasaya is a highly technical term. Now in common Hindi or other Indian languages, vyavasaya has simply become business or enterprise. But here vyavasaya means the intellect that is focused, that has a clear determination, intention. So that kind of intellect, you must have Kuru Nandana, son of Kuru. Kuru is the patriarch of the Kuru dynasty that gives rise to Kauravas and Pandavas. Kaurav word itself comes from Kuru also. So Kuru Nandana, so all of the Pandavas and Kauravas and their fathers and forefathers they can all be called as Kuru Nandana. Or they can also be called as Bharata, because they also descend from Bharat, the son of Dushyant and Shakuntala. But here it is Kuru. Kuru is another primordial or one of the ancestors of Kauravas and Pandavas. Bahu Shakha hi Anantaha. Many branches. Shakha means branch, Bahu many. Hi Anantaha, infinite branches. Whose infinite branches? Buddhaya avyavasayinam. Those who are not clear in their intention, those who are not clear in their purpose, have so many branches of their mind that they cannot focus on one single purpose. So Krishna is differentiating what kind of intellect Arjun should possess. So Arjun should be clear-minded, should have clear purpose, intention to fight. That's the focus here. So 41st verse to complete. Here there is a single resolute understanding, Arjun. The thoughts of the irresolute have many branches and are indeed endless. They are endless. They are confused. They are endless, and they have so many branches. So vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeh kuru nandana bahu shakha hi anantaha buddhayah avyavasayinam. 41st. Now going to 42nd verse. Imam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipischitah vedvad rataha partha na anyat astiti vadinah.
The ignorant one proclaim this flowery discourse. They will talk nicely, they will talk of rewards and so on. So yam imam pushpitam, flowery, lot of flowery means lot of unnecessary decorative adjectives and decorative language they will use. Vacham, speech. Pravadanti, they speak. Avipashchitaha, which means the ignorant ones, of course. Vedvadarataha, they sound like they're all like scholars in the Vedas. Partha, Arjun. He's talking to Arjun, so he's referring to Arjuna here. Na anyat astiti vadina. And they say that there is nothing else but enjoyment and all the fruits of the labor. If you do this and that, you'll get all kinds of labor. What all kinds of fruits? All kinds of results and consequences that are very rewarding. What kind of reward they're asking? They're asking for heaven, paradise, more rebirth and so on. But not moksha, not the ultimate goal that one should have. So Krishna says, the ignorant ones proclaim this flowery discourse, Arjun, delighting in the letter of the Veda and saying there is nothing else. Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipashchitah vedvadarataha partha na anyat astiti vadinah. Going to 43rd verse now. Kamat manah swargapara janma karma phal pradam kriya vishesh bahulam bhogaihi aishwarya gati pratim. So all these rewards that they're asking for, bhogaihi, enjoyments, aishwarya, wealth, gatim, those kind of state. This is what they are asking for. So kamat manaha swargapara, they desire for heaven, not moksha, not the ultimate moksha, but the heavens or paradise. So full of desires. Their kama is desire, full of desires, intent on heaven. They offer rebirth as the fruit of action and are addicted to many specific rites and rituals aimed at the goal of enjoyment and power. Bhoga, Aishwarya, Gatim, Prati, Kriya, Vishesh, Bahula, the specific actions that they are offering are all with desires. Whereas Krishna wants Arjun to do Nishkam Karma. So he has not yet used the word Nishkam Karma, but he is showing Arjun what kind of actions will lead to more and more rebirth, maybe heaven, but not the ultimate moksha. And the actions that Arjun must do should be beyond any kinds of fruits. That is what he's teaching. And now 44th verse. Bhogaihi aishwarya prasaktanam taya pahyata chetasam vyavasayitmika buddhihi samadhau na vidhiyate. So he's saying, to those the ignorant ones attached to enjoyment and power, that is heaven and different kinds of pleasures and enjoyments, whose thought is stolen away by this kind of talk, resolute insight in meditation is not granted. They cannot achieve samadhi. Samadhi is that a glimpse of moksha is not available to those who are indulged in enjoyment and power, and they are highly attached to their actions and the fruits of those actions. So bhogaihi aishwarya prasaktanam taya apayata chetasam vyavasayitmika buddhihi samadhauna vidhyate. They will get everything else. They will get enjoyments and pleasures and heaven and rebirth and so on, but not the ultimate samadhi, which is a glimpse of moksha. That freedom from attachments they will not be able to obtain. We are now on verse 45, chapter 2nd, still 45th verse, 2nd chapter. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistragunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvastho Niryog Kshema Atmavan. Lot of nir word, negative words in a sense, but with a positive interpretation. What is Krishna telling Arjuna now? Traigunya Vishayaha Vedaha. Right? Vedaha, plural. Ved here is not referring to knowledge as a term, but to the sacred texts of India, the oldest sacred texts of India, the 4 Vedas, as we know, Rigved, Yajurved, Samved and Atharved, all 4 Vedas. It is in plural here. So it has to be more than 2 for sure, because there is singular, there is dual, and then there is plural. In Sanskrit, there are 3 ways we can count a noun or a pronoun: singular, dual and plural. So here it is Vedaha, plural. So it has to be all the 4 Vedas. What is the topic of all 4 Vedas is what Krishna is explaining to Arjun. Traigunya Vishayaha Vedaha. That the subject, the topic of the Vedas is Traigunya, 3 gunas. What are those 3 gunas? Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. One of the most important, most popular, most widely celebrated, most widely explained, debated is the topic of the three gunas in entire Indian culture, Indian civilization, Indian music, Indian food, Indian philosophy. It comes from Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya, which we were sort of discussing whether to translate Sankhya as a branch of philosophy or as simply as a word that refers to battlefield. But here Krishna most directly is referring to Traigunya Vishaya, but he doesn't mention Sankhya Yoga or Kapil Muni, the so-called founder of Sankhya Yoga. He simply says Vedas have this topic of three gunas. What are those three gunas? Sattva, Tamas and Rajas. Sattva means very noble, very calm qualities. Right? Rajas means energetic qualities, energizing qualities. Right? And then Tamas is sort of dark, inertia, slow, and sort of lethargic kind of qualities. So Indian food is also imbibed with these three qualities. Some food have intrinsic sattvic qualities. Very fresh fruits, for example, fruits and vegetables would be considered very sattvic. Right? Rajasic would be probably food with a lot of energy, ghee, and a lot of calories. Tamasic food will be rotten food, food that is to be rejected but still is consumed somehow. So unhealthy food would be all tamasic. So here Traigunya Vishayaha Vedaha. So Krishna is saying Vedas have this topic of three gunas. But what should Arjun do? He says in the next part, Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Bhava Arjuna. Become, O Arjun. Vocative. He's talking to Arjun, right? It's a conversation. O Arjun, hey Arjun, Sambodhan, Bhava, become. How he should become? Nihatre Gunyaha. Beyond all three gunas or devoid of all three gunas. So there could be four kinds of ways a soul can be, right? A soul or a person can be in tamasic quality, with full of tamasic qualities, rajasic qualities, sattvic qualities, but beyond all three is moksha, which Krishna referred to in the previous verse also. That if you are having these double-minded, equivocal mind, you will also be looking for rewards, paradise or victory or so on, but you should be beyond all these dualities. That is what he's saying. You should be beyond all three gunas also. Sattvic is not the end goal here according to Krishna. You should transcend even sattva. You have to definitely reject tamasic qualities, rajasic qualities, but even sattvic qualities, and you have to transcend and go beyond all three. That is what he is telling Arjun to be. How can you become that? Or what else Arjun should do? Nirdvandvaha nitya sattvasthaha. Nirdvandva. You should not be dwelling into these polarities, this dichotomy to fight or not to fight, to lose or to win. You should be beyond all these polarities. Nitya sattvasthaha. You should be established in sattva, but ultimately you have to transcend even sattva. First he said you transcend all three. Now he is saying nitya, eternally, forever, you should be established in sattva. Sattva most likely is referring to here the ultimate qualities, ultimate transcendental phenomenon of Brahman. So you have to be stationed in that transcendental quality, transcendental phenomenon. Niryoga kshemaha atmavan. You have to go beyond without even thoughts of acquisition and conservation. Yoga kshema. I think I referred some time back in one of the other episodes that the biggest insurance company of India, which was first owned by Indian government, now it is, I think, privatized. The tagline of that insurance company, without mentioning the name, probably you can guess whom I'm referring to. The tagline of that insurance company was Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. And I remember Pandurang Shastri Athavale, revered Dadaji, used to criticize a business cause for exploiting a Sanskrit line coming from the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is telling his devotees that Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. That assurance given by Lord Krishna, by Yogeshwar Krishna, is being used for a commercial purpose. That I will take care of you in a very loose translation, in a very rough translation. But here it says, O Arjuna, be Atmavan, be stationed in your soul, in your eternal existence of your sattva. Sattva can simply be translated as simply existence also. Right? To Sat means it comes from us, which is the Sanskrit root to be. To be, so what ultimately remains in the world, in the universe, is not our body, not any materialistic possession, but only soul and soul that merges with Brahman. So to exist is the eternal truth. What exists eternally is the soul, not body. So existence equals to truth equals to soul from Sanskrit perspective, from Indic perspective. Existence is the ultimate truth. What exists is the soul. So soul is the ultimate truth. So Krishna is saying, free from thoughts of acquisition and comfort. Yoga kshemam, acquisition. Yoga means to unite, to acquire more, right? And to be united with probably materialistic things. And kshem, of comfort. So think beyond those things. Think beyond your own, think beyond yoga kshem, because later he will tell Arjun, yoga kshemam vahamyam. I'm taking care of your acquisition and comfort. You focus only on your eternal self, that is your soul. Excellent verse, this 45th verse. Very, very, so many different, deep concepts Krishna is brought here. So to summarize, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistrai Gunyo Bhavarjuna, Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvasthav, Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. Excellent. Poetically also sounds so beautiful with all these negative words, but with positive connotation. So the Winthrop Sargeant's translation says here, the Vedas are such that their scope is confined to the three qualities. Be free from those three qualities, Arjuna. Indifferent toward the pairs of opposites, eternally fixed in truth. So the Winthrop Sargeant has translated here Sattva as truth. Like I was saying, Sattva is actually referring to the existence of soul, which is the ultimate truth from Hindu Indic philosophy. So that's how he is translated. Sattva, truth, existence. Free from thoughts of acquisition and comfort, yoga kshemam, and possessed of the self, Atma, Atmavan. So be possessed in your own self. Not the self with small s, this self with capital S, which means the soul. Okay. So I hope you got that meaning clear. That was 45th. Now going on to 46th verse. Yavat artha udapane sarvatah samplutodake tavans vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. So he is saying, as much value as there is in a well when water is flooding on every side, so much is the value in all the Vedas for a Brahman who knows. That is the 46th verse. Then we go on to 47th verse, which is extremely popular. Everybody has heard. Whoever has heard the word Bhagavad Gita knows this particular verse, which is extremely popular. I think the entire gist of Bhagavad Gita, some people would like to argue, for example, Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak, that the entire Bhagavad Gita can simply called as Karma Yoga Shastra. And this is the verse that summarizes the entire Karma Yoga Shastra. What is that? Karmanya vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phal hetur bhur mate sangosto karmani. This has been another sort of commercial appropriation of a Bhagavad Gita verse by B.R. Chopra, one of the most respected filmmaker, Bollywood Hindi filmmaker, older brother of Yash Chopra. His tagline, as any film that you watch by B.R. Chopra, Nikah or Aaj Ki Awaaz or so many other, Bagban and so many Naya Daur, so many others. Every time when you see B.R. Chopra, B.R. Films picture, first scene, you will hear this Sanskrit shlok in the background. Karmande vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhur mate sangosto karmani. Very, very important, very easy, very important. I think everybody already knows. Karmande vadhikaraste, adhikar, hak, right. Your hak, your adhikar is only on your karma. Ma phaleshu kadachana. Phaleshu, locative, singular. On the fruits of your action, kadachana, never ever you have the right on the fruits of your action. The result are beyond your control. Right? Ma karma phal hetur bhur. Ma, negation, prohibition. Ma, no. Ma, this is without the nasal sound. So here ma simply means prohibitive. Ma karma phal hetu. The consequence of your action should never be the motivation for your action. Mate sangosto akarmani. And you can also not be attached to the attachment of inaction. Because Arjun is arguing for inaction. He wants to run away from the field and he wants to go to some forest and maybe sit in meditation. So Krishna is saying neither the fruits of the action nor inaction can be your attachment. You cannot be attached to the fruits of your action. What Arjun has been arguing for, that if I do this, so many people will be killed, women will become widows, and all those are consequences of his action. So Krishna is prohibiting him to be attached to the actions of the consequences of his actions. Similarly, if Arjuna says, I want to run away from my action, Krishna is arguing against that also. You can neither be inactive nor be attached to the consequences of your actions. That's 47th verse. And now we go on to 48th verse. Very important, very popular verse as well. Yogastaha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhayah asiddhayah samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Excellent, excellent. There is another Bhagavad Gita version by Music Today. Music Today is a branch of India Today, the big group that brought out a musical album of some selected verses of the Bhagavad Gita set to music by Vanraj Bhatia. In that, Ravindra Sathe has sung some of these verses beautifully. Great voice and great music, Vanraj Bhatia, Ravindra Sathe. In that, this verse, I used to listen to these verses more than 2 decades back. So, what is this saying? Yogastaha kuru karmani. Yogastaha. Again, be established in yoga. Yoga in the sense, steadfastness, discipline, kuru karmani. And then do your action. Be a yogi, then perform your actions. That is, without attaching to the consequences of your actions. So, almost like nishkam karma. He has not used the word nishkam karma here, but a lot of people will just say, Bhagavad Gita says, perform your actions in a nishkam karma way. Nishkam, without attachment. Sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Dhananjaya, a synonym of Arjun. Dhananjaya, conqueror of wealth. Right? Not just bank balance wealth, but all kinds of wealth Arjun has conquered. So you are a Kshatriya. You are a conqueror of wealth. So, but you should conquer such wealth in a yogic fashion. When your mind acts like a yogi, then you perform your actions and be victorious, be more Dhananjaya, be victorious. Sangam tyaktva, but tyaktva, having abandoned, chodkar tyaktva, gerund. This is the gerund form in Sanskrit, grammatically. So sangam, attachment. So get rid of the attachment and perform your actions like a yogi. Siddhaya asiddhaya. Success or defeat, or success or failure, victory or defeat. Samaha bhutva, having become, bhutva, gerund again, having become balanced in your victories and defeats. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Beautiful definition of yoga. What is yoga? Samatvam, balanced. Balance is yoga. Uchyate. Uchyate means passive voice. It is said that yoga is simply balance. Not just balance of body, balance of mind, balance of your actions, everything under balance. No extremes, right? No sattvic, no tamasic, no rajasic. Having transcended everything, be of balanced mind. That is the true state of mind of a yogi. That is how you should fight. That is how you should perform your actions. That will transcend you beyond all these 3 gunas. That is the way to live. That is the way to fight as a Kshatriya, as a Dhananjaya, conqueror of wealth. We are now at 49th verse. So here we go. Durena hi avaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau sharanam anvichya kripnaha phala hetavaha. Here a lot of googlies Krishna is throwing at Arjun. He has been saying that buddhi is better, or he just spoke on karma yoga in the previous verses, karmanye vadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, and so on. So he's talking about karma, but here he says, suddenly he says, Durena hi avaram. Avaram means junior, inferior, less superior. So karma is now inferior. Duren, by far. Hi avaram, inferior. Karma is inferior by far. From what? Buddhi yoga dhananjaya. Dhananjaya, Arjun. He's talking to Arjun. So, hey Arjun, karma, action is by far inferior to buddhi yoga. So he's not used the word Sankhya yoga or any of the big words, karma yoga, jnana yoga, none of that. But he keeps using the word buddhi yoga. So from buddhi yoga, karma is far inferior, according to Krishna in this 49th verse, chapter 2nd. Buddhau sharanam anvich. So what you should do, Arjun? You should take refuge in buddhi. Buddhau sharanam. Sharanam here is not just refuge. Sharanam actually is defense, protection, support. So there is a very famous mantra called Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Right? In there, Shri Krishna is not seeking your refuge, right? Mama is my Sharan, Shri Krishna, that would be weird. It means my protection, my defense is Shri Krishna. This I've learned from Pandurang Shastri Athavale, revered Dadaji in Pathey. So that is a very, very unique, very different, very special translation of Sharan. And I went back and checked in Moonian Williams Dictionary. That is exactly the meaning of the word Sharan, not just refuge. Sharan means your defense, your protection. So, Buddhi is your Sharan. Buddhav Sharanam Anvicha. But here it is imperative. So, Krishna is telling Arjun that take refuge, take protection, take defense in Buddhi, not just in action. So, Krishna has on the one hand, he has glorified karma and karma yoga and nishkam karma and so on. Now he's saying karma is far inferior to Buddhi yoga. So take defense, take protection, take refuge in Buddhi yoga. Kripanaha phalhetava. That is very consistent with what he has been saying earlier. Kripanaha, that is miserable, dayaniya, pitiful. Who are pitiful, pitiable? Those who work only for the consequences of their actions. Phalhetavaha, bahuvrihi compound, bahuvrihi samas. Those who are driven by the purpose of the consequences of their action. If your only motivation is the fruits of your action, then you are going to be miserable, you are going to be pitiable. Kripanaha in popular Hindi and other Indian languages, Kripana has taken the meaning of kanjus, frugal, right? But here it's not just frugal, it's pitiable, it's miserable. Those who are miserable, pitiable are Kripanaha. So that completes 49th verse. Durena hi avaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhav sharanam anvicha. Desire, seek the protection or defense in buddhi yoga. Buddhav sharanam anvicha kripanaha phalhetava. If you're driven only by fruits, then you are kripana. So how Winthrop Sargeant translates his action is inferior by far to the yoga of wisdom. So he is translating buddhi with wisdom. Usually we translate buddhi with intellect. Seek refuge in wisdom. Yes. Despicable. So he translates kripanaha is despicable. I would say pitiable or miserable, but he's saying despicable are those whose motives are based on the fruit of action. That makes sense. 50th, verse number 50. Buddhi yukto jahati. Now this brings me back those happy, musical, melodious memories of listening to Ravindra Sathe's rendition of Bhagavad Gita, in which he sang based on Vanraj Bhatia's music, album made by Music Today more than two decades back, and beautifully he has sung. Gita literally means a song of the Lord, so he has actually sung it in Sanskrit with beautiful voice, great voice. Buddhi yukto jahati ubhe sukrit dushkrite tasmat yogaya yujyasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. Now another googly by Krishna. So he has been saying yoga, he has been hinting at actually Sankhya yoga. Like I said, some scholars, some great commentators have translated yoga itself as Sankhya yoga sometimes, yoga itself as karma yoga sometimes. Krishna seems to combine all those speculation and combines them all and says, what is yoga? Yoga karma sukhaushalam. If you can do your actions skillfully, then you are doing yoga. So let's translate now, word by word. Buddhi yukto jahati. Once you are united with buddhi, once you are yoked with intellect, right? Buddhi yukta. Yukta means to unite, to yoked. Jahati, right? Then you can leave. What can you can live? Ubhe, both. Sukrit, dushkrit. Good karma, bad karma. Everything is to be abandoned, right? Because good karma may make you sattvic, but it will not take you to moksha. So for moksha, you need to not just leave your dushkrita, your evil deeds, evil actions, but even your good actions. Ubhe, sukrit, dushkrita. Sukrit. Krit means action, right? That which is done. Krit is past participle. So sukrit, good actions. Dushkrit, bad actions. Tasmat yoga yujyasva. Again he's saying tasmat, therefore. From this argument, literally tasmat means from this. But it means is therefore. Therefore, yogaya yujyasva. Yujyasva again imperative singular. So he's talking to Arjun. So he's saying united, be yoked with what? Yogaya, with, for yoga. Be united, be imbibed, be connected with yoga. What is yoga? Not the physical asanas or the stretching exercises, of course, not the physical postures. Here, yoga is, what is yoga? He just defines in the next part of this verse. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. If you can skillfully act, that is your yoga. That eventually became karma yoga, and now Gita is equated with karma yoga. But that is the definition he is giving here, where it is not just action and renouncing the fruits of action, but it is to be united with buddhi yoga. So your intellect must be yoked with your action, but you cannot be thinking of the fruits of your action. That is how he combines sannyas and karma yoga and Sankhya yoga and buddhi yoga, all those big terms, big branches of philosophies he has combined in this one line, yoga karmasu kaushalam. What kind of kaushal? What kind of skill? Skill based in buddhi yoga. Skill where you're not thinking of the fruits of your action, you're just doing your action without the attachment to the result, without attachment to non-action. You're still doing action, but the results you are not attached. So that is the way to do your action, to do your karmas, action, yes. So to complete verse 50, buddhi yukto jahatiha ubhe sukrit dushkrute tasmat yogaya yujjasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. Beautiful 3 words that defines the word, that defines karma, that defines yoga, that can, in one way, it's the entire summary of the Bhagavad Gita. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Now 51. Karmajam buddhi yuktahi. Again, so more dwelling on buddhi yoga. Karmajam. Action that are, okay, let me first read. Karmajam buddhi yuktahi phalam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmuktaha padam gacchantya anamayam. What happens? Karmajam buddhi yuktahi. If you are united in intellect, then if you perform your actions, phalam tyaktva manishana, and you're a wise person, you will abandon your fruits of your action. Phalam, fruits. Tyaktva, having abandoned. Chodkar. What are you abandoning? The fruits of your action. Then you are manishana. Then you are a wise person. Here I would use the word wise also. Manishana, wise person. That will make you also free from birth and bondages with birth. Janma bandha vinirmuktaha. Vinirmuktaha, free from what? Bondages of birth. That is rebirth. You will not come back in this rebirth cycle. You can break off of the rebirth cycle, and you can shoot, or you can aim for your moksha. That is the padam gacchanti anamayam. That is the painless final stage of your soul's journey. There you will go, and you will be free from life and death and this cycle of rebirth. Right? And then 52nd verse. Yada te moha kalilam, again beautifully sung by Ravindra Sathe, which is coming to my mind. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyati tarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam shrutavyasya shrutasya cha. Yada te, when you, moha kalilam, when you can sort of break off this delusion and attachments. Buddhi vyati tarishyati, when your intellect can transcend the bondages of darkness and illusion and so on, tada gantasi nirvedam, then you will think beyond even Vedas. Nirvedam, Winthrop Sargeant translates in a, I think, problematic way. He translates nirvedam to be disgusted. I would say nirvedam means beyond Vedas, even beyond Vedas, simply transcending the Vedas. You will transcend even the Vedas. Tada gantasi nirvedam shotavyasya shutasya. Then you will hear what is to be heard to transcend this universe, to transcend this cycle of rebirth. All of that can be transcended if you are stationed in buddhi yoga and if you perform your actions skillfully. So that completes our 4 verses. So let me read the final verse for this episode. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyati tarishyati tada gantasi, imperative singular, you will go, tada gantasi nirvedam, beyond Vedas, shrotavyasya shutasya, you will hear what is to be heard. This is 53rd verse in the 2nd chapter. Shruti viprati pannate yada sthasyati nischala samadhau achala buddhis tada yogam avapsasi. So what is Krishna saying? Krishna's last line in this chapter before Arjun makes his re-entry. So Krishna's last line here in this conversation at least. Shruti refers to that which is heard. Shru comes from the Sanskrit root shru, which means to hear. Shruti, which is heard. Shravan, which means to hear something, right? So Shruti is given more importance in Indian culture than Smriti. Shrutis are the Vedas and Upanishads. Smritis are the Purans and the Ramayana, Mahabharata, all the other major texts are all Smriti. Shrutis are more authoritative. So if there is a conflict between Shruti and Smriti, we should take refuge in Shruti. So Vedas and Upanishads take precedence over Purans or other Sanskrit texts. So what Krishna is saying is, Shruti viprati pannate. Your mind, if it is confused by listening to different interpretations of Shruti, yada sthasyati nischala. You have to keep your mind stable, unmoving. Nischal. This is not nischal. Nischal would be innocent. Chal means fraud or something. Nischal, innocent. But here it is nischal. Chal means to keep moving. Nischal, non-moving. Yada, when. Sthasyati, when it is stationed, unmoving. Samadhau, locative singular. In samadhi, in deep meditation. Achala buddhis, when your intellect is unmoving in samadhi, in meditation. Tada yogam avapsisi, then you will attain yoga. So to complete 53rd verse, when your intellect stands fixed in deep meditation, unmoving, disregarding Vedic doctrine, that's a bit harsh translation. I would say it remains unmoving even despite your confusion after listening to Vedic doctrines. Then you shall attain self-realization. Then you will attain the yoga. That's the literal translation of 53rd verse. Going on to 54th verse. As I said, Arjun makes his entry now. Arjun uvach. Arjun spoke. Third person singular. He said. Arjun said. What did he say? Now Arjun is asking. He is representing all of us. We all have these questions. Arjun is simply giving them words. The question that we already have. So question that we have is this. Sthit pragyasya ka bhasha. Samadhisthasya keshava. Sthit dhihi kim prabhashet. Kim asit vrajet kim. So he's asking, Sthit pragyasya ka bhasha. What is how do you describe a sthit pragya? Though one whose intellect is stable, sthit, unmoving, pragyasya, of the intellect. So sthit pragya is another bahuvrihi compound. It is not karmdhara compound. Karmdhara could be simply the adjective and the noun, sthit pragya. But this is referring to somebody who has such an intellect where intellect is unmoving. So it becomes bahuvrihi compound, right? Sthita pragya se ka bhasha. So what's the language? How do you describe sthita pragya? Samadhistha asya keshava. Who is stationed, who is steadfast in deep meditation? Krishna. Keshava, synonym of Krishna. So Krishna. So Arjuna is asking Krishna. Sthita dhihi kim prabhashet. One whose intellect is steady. How do you define that? How do you describe him or her? Right? And finally, Kim Asit Vrajet Kim. How does he stay? How does he live? How does he move? So explain to me everything. Kim Asit, Asit, to be. How is he? Is he or she? How people who are sthit pragya, how they are. And how are they? Vrajet means to move. So Vrajak is one who is moving. Vrajet, one who is, how does he move? Kim, Vrajet Kim. So now Sri Bhagavan Vach, Krishna is now ready to respond to Arjuna's questions. 55th verse now. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parth manogatan atmanyevatmana tushtaha sthit pragyasya dochyate. So Krishna is saying now, Prajahati yada kaman. Kam is desire. Prajahati, having relinquished, having abandoned all kinds of desires. When all desires are abandoned, right? Sarvan parth manogatan. Manogatan, man is mind. Manogatan, any desires that arise in mind. Sarvan, all. Manogatan, all the desires or thoughts that arise inside mind, even they are abandoned. Parth, so he's talking to Arjun. Atman nye vatman tushtaha. He is self-sustained, self-satisfied. He just enjoys being. He's not desiring something else, he or she. Right? So when he leaves behind all desires, emerging from the mind, Arjun, and is contented in the self by the self. Right? His self, that is self with capital S, his being itself is satisfactory for him or her. They don't desire anything outside of them. Those are the people, those are the qualities of Sthit Prajna. Sthit Prajnas Uchyate. So that is, then they can be called as Sthit Prajna, whose wisdom is stable, not moving. 56th verse now. Dukkheshu anudvignamanaha sukheshu vigata sprihah vidarag bhaya krodha sthit dhir munir uchyate. He whose mind is not agitated in misfortune. Dukkheshu, misfortune. Anudvignamanaha. His mind is not agitated when he or she get any suffering. Even then they are not disturbed. Sukheshu, and when they get pleasures. Vigata spraha. Even they don't desire for pleasure. They don't get agitated by pain or suffering. Vitarag bhaya krodha. Vit. They are long past any kinds of attachments, any kind of fear, krodh. Their ragas are gone. Their fear are gone. Their anger is gone. So vitarag. Vitarag is a very technical term also in Jainism, which means vitarag is a prerequisite to become a tirthankar, to achieve moksha. Even in Jainism, it's a very technical term. Vitarag person is the tirthankar. Sthit dhir munir uchyate. So that is the kind of a person that Gita calls that person as a monk, as a true sannyasi, as a true muni, right? Whose meditation is stable. That person is called as a sage. In verse 57 now. Yah sarvatran bhi snehas tat prapya shubha shubham na abhinandati na dveshti tasya pragya pratisthita. Krishna is explaining the qualities of Sthit Prajna. What kind of a person Sthit Prajna is? His or her mind is stable, not wavering, and his wisdom is also stable. So tasya pragya pratisthita. His intellect is established. In how? How exactly the intellect should be established? Yah sarvatra, who everywhere. Yah, who sarvatra, everywhere. Na abhisnehas, no attachment of any kind, no love or desire or hatred, rag or dvesh, none of that. Na abhisnehas, tat prapya shubha shubham. There, then he finds or ignores or is not getting affected by shubh or ashubh. He or she remains unaffected. Na abhinandati. Abhinandati, very interesting term. Nand gives this sense of joy. Abhinandati. So he or she is not relishing or is not cherishing, not getting affected by whatever the pleasant that comes across to them or whatever unpleasant comes across to them. So to complete 57th verse, he who is without attachment on all sides, encountering this or that, pleasant or unpleasant, sukh, dukh, that is, shubh or ashubh, neither rejoicing nor disliking, na abhinandati, na dveshti. His wisdom stands firm. It uses only masculine pronouns. Unfortunately, this translated Winthrop Sargeant. But of course, we should be careful and try not to be gender specific. This applies to all genders, of course, all castes, all colors, every kind of person on this planet can relate to the Bhagavad Gita. So, sorry to be reading the gender specific language here. 58th verse now. Yada saharte cha ayam kurmaha anganiva sarvashah indriyani indriyarthebhyasya tasya pragya pratisthita. Again, the same phrase, tasya pragya pratisthita. So the same description of the qualities of the Sthit Prajna person. When he withdraws completely, yada saharte cha ayam, he withdraws completely. How exactly to withdraw their senses is to take the example of Kurma. Kurma is the second avatar of Vishnu in Hindu mythology, Hindu Purans. We see Matsya avatar, the fish as incarnation of Vishnu as the first avatar, first incarnation. Avatar, the famous film, a Hollywood film, takes the Sanskrit word avatar and makes it avatar, and with the same idea of soul transferring or transplanting to another planet. Similar idea we have, the original idea is in the Hindu Puran, Vishnu Puran, that is to be more specific, where the first avatar of Vishnu is of Matsya avatar, fish incarnation. Second is turtle or tortoise incarnation, Kurma avatar. Same Kurm is used here in the Bhagavad Gita, but not as an avatar of Vishnu, but Kurm as an example. What kind of example? Kurm turtle, if you watch, when anything happens, turtle's natural reaction is to take all his limbs inside of his shell-like body. So Bhagavad Gita teaches that one should live like a turtle, all senses in full control. Kurmaha anganiva sarvashah. Ang means limbs. Sarvashah, all limbs to be under control, to be withdrawn, right? So when one withdraws completely, senses from the objects of the senses, they are all withdrawn, right? Just as a tortoise withdraws its limbs into its shell, his wisdom stands firm. Tasya pragya pratishtita. If one can withdraw the senses like a turtle, like a tortoise, kurmaha angani va sarvashah, indriyani indriyarthebhyasya. Indriyani means the senses. Indriyani arthe abhyas, that is the object of the senses. And senses are the subject. Objects are that to which the senses are being attracted to. So that attachment, if it is broken, then one can say that one has taken or withdrawn all the senses completely, just as a turtle does. So that's 58th verse. 59th now. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah rasavarjam rasa api asya param drishtva nivartate. Now Krishna is commenting on the so-called sannyasis, right? So-called ascetics. Those who can break off their attachment to different objects in the world, yet their craving remains inside. So Krishna is exposing even those kind of people, and he says, what Krishna is saying, since objects turn away from the abstinent man, one who is an ascetic, one who has taken a vow to control his desires, but the taste for them remains. The taste is hard to be completely, how to remove the taste completely, how to remove that attraction completely inside, even though the physical senses are withdrawn, right? But one who is sthit pragya, one who is living like a turtle with complete withdrawal of the senses, then that person can even control the inside attraction. Even that disappears, right? But the taste also turns away from the one who has seen the supreme. Param drishtva nivartante. Param, that is supreme, that is transcendental reality. Drishtva, having seen, dekh kar, nivartate. Then that happens. Then that can be achieved once somebody is sthita pragya and is established in the supreme wisdom. And then 60th verse, no? 60. Yatataha hi api kaunteya, Arjun, purushasya vipaschitaha, indriyani pramathini, haranti prasabham manaha. The turbulent senses carry away forcibly the mind, Arjuna, even of the striving man of wisdom. These attractions are so turbulent that it can even disturb somebody who is trying to walk on that path. Even then that mind can be affected. So one needs to be extremely, extremely careful. And that is how one needs to carry forward. 61 is the verse number. Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asit matparaha vashehi yasya indriyani tasya pragya pratishtita. That line, that phrase comes back again. Tasya pragya pratishtita. Whose wisdom is established, stable, balanced. Whose wisdom? One who has restrained one's senses completely. Tani sarvani sanyamya. Sanyam means restraint. Sanyamya, having restrained. Sarvani, all. Tani, those all. Yukta asit mat paraha. Mat, me. So Krishna is referring to himself, that one who has focused his mind on Krishna, on Yogeshwar, the ultimate reality, transcendental reality, not just Krishna, but transcendental reality. If your focus is on transcendental reality, the ultimate truth, yukta, your yoga, you are united, enjoined, right? Your yoga has the same root of yuj. Yukta has the same root. So it means joining, yoking your intellect on the ultimate reality. Yukta asit mat paraha, on me. Vashehi yasya indriyani. Vash. Vash means to control whose senses, yes, indriyani, yes is genitive singular, whose indriyani senses, vash is to control. Vash gives us the Persian term bas mein karna. Many Persian terms have roots in Sanskrit, not Arabic, but Persian. Persian in turn entered Urdu, and Urdu and Hindi overlap in many ways. So many Hindi terms also come from Sanskrit, many Hindi terms come from Urdu. Urdu in turn comes from Persian. Persian has many words that have Sanskrit origin, because ancient Persian and ancient Sanskrit were in the same family. Maybe they influence each other. Maybe Sanskrit gave a lot of words to Persian. That is why we see vash mein karna or bas mein karna, they are synonymous. Bas mein karna comes from Persian and Urdu. So, vashehi yasya indriyani tasya pragya pratishtita. So, to complete 61st verse, restraining all these senses, disciplined he or she should sit, intent on me. He whose senses are controlled, his wisdom stands firm. Tasya pragya pratishtita. 62nd verse now. My favorite. Again comes from that musical album I keep referring to, beautifully sung by Ravindra Sathe, music by Vanraj Bhatia, published by Music Today, more than 2 decades back. Dhyayato vishayan punsaha sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodhaha abhijayate. Extremely logical, rational statement, one of the most rational statement. Similar statements are found in Buddhism and Jainism, and here in the Bhagavad Gita in Hinduism also. Dhyayato vishayan punsaha. For somebody who dwells on the objects of senses. Dhyayato, dhyan karna. If your focus, if your thoughts are on object of senses, vishayan punsaha, purush, that is person, vishayan, that is objects of senses. So if your focus is on objects of senses, different kinds of pleasures, for example, then what happens? You cannot ever control or attain all kinds of objects of senses. You cannot have all the wealth or all the pleasures in the world. Some pleasures will be left out. So Krishna is critiquing that observation. He's making that point. That dhyayato vishayan punsa, the one whose focus is only on objects of senses, what happens? That attachment, sangas teshu pajayate. Sangas teshu, locative singular, locative plural, teshu, in them, sangas, that is attachment. So from that focus on the pleasures or objects of senses, attachment is born, attachment develops. Upajayate. Upajayate means to something that is born, something that arises in them, right? Because of that attachment to the senses, right? From that attachment, sanga sanjayate kama, that attachment gives rise to desires. Same Kam word that gives us Kama Sutra, or Kama is desire, right? So from focus on pleasures or attachment, from focus on pleasures it develops attachment, from attachment develops desires, sangat, sanjayate, again another word for born or arising. Upajayate, now sanjayate, kama, then kamat krodho vijayate. From desires, anger develops. So 3 different versions of birth or development we see in the same verse. Dhyayato vishayan punsaha sangasteshu pajayate sanga sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate. So 3 times. Upajayate, sanjayate, abhijayate. Same root, born, janm. Even the word janm in Hindi comes from the same root. So abhijayate, upajayate, sanjayate means that which develops, that which is born. What is born? From focus develops attachment, from attachment develops desires, from desire develops anger. Why? Because all desires will never be fulfilled. There will always be, probably 90% of our desires are always unfulfilled. That develops anger in us. So that is a very rational development of anger that Krishna is describing. So that was 62nd, 63rd verse now. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhranshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. Same chain of action and reaction, chain reaction in a way, right? So same thing. Now anger has developed because the desires are not fulfilled, as we saw in the previous verse. From anger, what happens? From anger, one develops delusion. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. That kind of a delusion that, anger and then desire, it's kind of a chain reaction. So anger keeps developing more and more delusion. Samoha smriti vibramaha. From delusion develops loss of memory or wandering of memory rather. Memory is always disturbed. Your thoughts are disturbed, your memory is disturbed. Smriti brinshat buddhi nasho. If memory is gone, if memory is wandering, buddhi nasho, your intelligence perishes, your intellect perishes. Right? Buddhi nashat pranashyati. If intellect is gone, if intelligence is gone, the entire person perishes. So to complete 63rd verse, from anger arises delusion, from delusion loss of the memory, from loss of the memory destruction of discrimination, from destruction of discrimination one is lost. The entire personhood is lost. Now 64th verse, Raga dvesha viyuktastu vishayan indraihi charan atma vashair vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. Now the difference, how the solution to achieve prasad. Prasad means the ultimate peace, balance, sthit pragya, that balanced mind, that stable mind. Prasad comes from ultimate tranquility, ultimate self-restraint. So prasadam adhigacchati. One who goes and attains that tranquility, peace, how does one attain that? So 64th verse has the answer. Rag dvesha viyuktastu. One who is viyukt, not yukt. So yukt we saw in previous verse. Now viyukt. Viyukt means one who is detached from rag and dvesh. Attachment, that is attachment, and also some kind of a hatred, dvesh, rag, dvesh. If one is beyond rag and dvesh, if one is detached from rag and from dvesh, vishayan indraihi charan, and his senses are not attached to the senses of objects, that pleasures and so on. Atma vashyahi, one who is in control of in one's soul. Vidheyatma, that person becomes guided by his own soul, his or her soul, only soul. Then one can attain the ultimate pleasure, ultimate tranquility, ultimate peace. Away from rag and dvesh, self-controlled person can attain the ultimate tranquility. So to complete 64th verse, with the elimination of desire and hatred, even though moving among the objects of the senses, he who is controlled by the self with the capital S, right, the soul, by self-restraint attains tranquility. 65th verse now. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanir asya upajayate prasanna chetaso hi ashu buddhi hi parivatishtate. In tranquility, prasade, tranquility, prasade, locative singular, in tranquility, sarva dukkhanam, of all the sorrows, all the displeasures, right? Dukkhanam, genitive plural, hanir asya upajayate. So in tranquility, the cessation, hani means the death or disappearance, cessation of all sorrows, sarva dukkhanam, asya upajayate. So as if the death or cessation of all the sorrows happen at the time of ultimate tranquility. All sorrows disappear, basically. Prasanna chetaso hi ashu. Ashu, that is instant, quickly. What happens? That person in tranquility becomes extremely in pleasure. And buddhi paryavatishtate. His or her intellect is stable. So to complete 65th verse, in tranquility, the cessation of all sorrows is born for him. Indeed, for the tranquil-minded, the intellect at once becomes steady. Interesting word here in this verse is ashu. Ashu gave us the word ashutosh. Ashutosh. Tosh means that one that satisfies, that removes all our desires, that fulfills all our desires. Ashu, immediately. That is divinity, or any god can be called as Ashutosh. Whoever we are praying to or worshipping can be called as Ashutosh if that god we believe will satisfy all our desires instantly. Ashu is instantly. So here it means instant steadiness comes to the person whose mind is stable and he or she is in that tranquility. 66th verse now. Nasti buddhir ayuktasya na chayuktasya bhavana na chabhavayatah shantir ashantasya kutah sukham. So again there is this rational connection between na asti buddhi. If there is no intellect, ayuktasya, the intellect that is not united with ultimate tranquility, that intellect will not have bhavana. Bhavana here means meditation, concentration. So no intellect means no intellect which is connected with transcendental wisdom. Without that connection, without that yoga, there is no proper meditation possible. And if there is no meditation, peace is impossible, tranquility is impossible. So from one leads to the other, from intellect, non-intellect to non-united wisdom, from no wisdom to no meditation, from no meditation to no peace or no tranquility. And no peace means no pleasure, no relaxation. So to complete 66th verse, there is no wisdom in him who is uncontrolled. There is likewise no concentration in him who is uncontrolled. In him who does not concentrate, there is no peace. How can there be happiness for him who is not peaceful? That's 66th verse for you. 67th now, very important, very interesting. Indriyanam hi chartam yan manonu vidhiyate tadasya harti pragyam vayur navami vambhasi. So those person whose senses are charatam, senses are, if they are roaming around like almost like animals. When animals are grazing in out in meadows, in Hindi the word is charna, गाय घास चरती है. Here the same charna is used as wandering senses. When you're wandering, you can graze, right? Animals. Similarly, your senses can wander upon pleasures when they're wandering intellectually, right? They're out of your control. Indriyanam hi charta. Indriyanam, genitive plural. Senses, chartam, they are wandering around. Yan manonu vidhiyate, that is when the mind runs after the wandering senses, then it carries away one's understanding, right? Your mind is also carried away with that. As the wind carries away a ship on the waters, just as Vayur nav is that is ship or boat, iva ambasit. So you're in the water, your ship is also wandering, as if just as your senses are wandering here and there. Now 68th verse. Tasmat yasya mahabaho nigrahitani sarvashah indriyani indriyarthebhyasya tasya pragya pratisthita. Once again, your intellect is stable, your wisdom is firm. So Krishna is talking to Arjun, Mahabaho Arjun. Therefore, Arjun, wisdom of him whose senses are withdrawn, nigraha, under control, completely restrained, withdrawn from the objects of the senses. If your senses are under control, then your intellect is also stable. Verse 69 now, Shlok 69. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehe. So what is happening here? Ya nisha. Nisha, popular common name for girls in India, but nisha means what? Nisha means night. Ya nisha. Sarva bhutanam. Bhoot is a very interesting word. Bhoot in common Hindi, Gujarati, North Indian languages at least, bhoot means a ghost, right? Bhoot literally simply means beings, all beings. So there has been a controversy. When Ayurveda texts describe bhoot, some English translators took that word as ghost, as if Ayurveda is talking about ghosts and some supernatural things. Bhoot simply means beings, all beings. Sarva bhutanam, of all beings, genitive plural here. So of all beings, ya nisha. One that is night for all the beings, ya nisha sarva bhutanam, tasyam jagarti sanyami. The sanyami, one who is self-controlled, jagarti remains awake. Tasyam, for him, for a self-controlled person, self-disciplined person, that night is night of awakening. He remains awake. Yasyam jagrati bhutani. When all beings are awake, sa nisha pashyato munehe. That time, a monk or a sage or a visionary person or a wise person, right? At that time, he sees that as a night. So a sage person, a visionary person, a self-disciplined person sees things in an alternate reality in a way. When it is night for all beings, that time he is awake. When people are sleeping, he is awake. When he is awake, people are sleeping. So it's an alternative reality. What does it mean? It means that When people are maybe super indulged in activity, let's say in daytime, right? Daytime may be symbolic in a lot of activities. That time, self-controlled person will remain quiet, will remain calm. He or she will not be agitated. And vice versa. When people are sleeping, he's extremely active. What is he doing? What he or she is doing? Maybe in a lot of meditations, a lot of spiritual readings, chanting, meditation, all kinds of activities that person can be doing while people are sleeping. So night time can be a time for spiritual, meditative studies kind of activities while people are sleeping. That was 69th verse. Let's go to 70th verse now, 70. Apuryamanam achal pratishtham samudram apaha pravishyanti yadvat tadvat kama yam pravishanti sarve sa shantim apnoti na kam kami. Apuryamanam, one that is already filled. Apuryamanam, purti is to fulfill something. Apuryamanam, that which is already filled. Achal pratishtham, achal, stable. Pratishtham, established. Samudram, ocean. Apaha pravishanti, apaha, water. Pravishanti, water entering. Yadvat, if water is entering an already filled ocean, it won't make any impact on the ocean. Tadvat, similarly, kama yam pravishanti sarve, when desires enter into what? Sa shantim apnuti na kam kami. He does not obtain any more desire appear before their eyes. Nothing affects them. Their desires do not get agitated. Just as ocean is not agitated if we put more water into ocean. 70, that was 70. 71 now. Vihaya kaman yah sarvan pumanshcharti nispraha nirmamo nirahankaraha sa shantim adhigacchati. He obtains peace. He obtains complete tranquility. So adhigacchati and apnoti, there are two words here for obtaining. Apnoti and obtain, even etymologically, are interconnected. So Greek and ancient Latin language and ancient Sanskrit had this connection. Many English words are derived from ancient Greek or Latin, but ancient Greek or Latin had this connection with Sanskrit. So they are called as Indo-European languages. So obtain comes from apnoti, or there is some connection at least, definitely. All right, similarly here, adhigacchati, the other word for obtaining. Adhigacchati comes from Sanskrit root ga, simply gum or ga. Ga gives us English word go. Same sound, same meaning, same etymological root. Ga becomes go in English. Ga becomes gum. Gum becomes gach. Gach becomes here adhigacchati. So obtains. Sa shantim adhigacchati. He or she obtains peace or tranquility. When? Vihaya kaman yah sarvan. Having abandoned all desires. Pumanshcharti nispraha. Having no more ambition left, no more desire left. Nirmama. Mama means my, right? Mine. Nirmama. No attachment, no personal attachment to anything in the world. Nirankaraha. No ego, no arrogance, no ghamand in Indian languages. So all that is gone. That person achieves or obtains tranquility or peace. And then the last verse of the second chapter. Esha brahmi sthitihi partha na enam prapya vimuhyati sthitva asyam ant kalepi brahma nirvanam richati. Excellent words, some of the excellent words here. Sthitihi. Sthitihi word comes from stha, the root in Sanskrit. Stha gives us stay in English. So etymologically, again, you see the different connection between stha and stay. It sounds similar, it means similar. Stha becomes sthiti. Sthiti means situation. Esha brahmi sthitihi partha. Hey Parth, O Arjun, in that kind of a state of Brahmi sthiti, Brahmi state, what happens? Na enam prapya vimuyati. In that condition, in that situation, that person is never deluded. Vimuyati. Muyati is moha and muyati are connected. So that person is never deluded. Sthitva asyam antakale. Antakale. Ant, end. Ant and end are again etymologically connected. Ant gives us int. Inteha ho gayi. There is a song in Hindi. Inteha. Inteha comes from int. Int comes from ant. Ant means end, of course. End and ant. So ant and int and end are all interconnected. So we are connecting now Sanskrit with Persian with English through this Indo-European language, Indo-European family of languages, in which European languages and Sanskrit are interconnected. Then Indo-Iranian languages, in which ancient Persian and ancient Sanskrit are also connected. Ant, int, and end. Sthitva asyam ant kalepi. Having in this end, last moment of our lives, if we have that kind of a Brahmi sthiti, that can help us achieve Brahma Nirvanam. Nirvana, of course, Nirvana in English. Nirvana comes from Nirvana in Buddhism, Pali language. Here it is Brahma Nirvanam, Richati. So that person reaches Brahma Nirvanam if Ant Kale, in the last moment of their lives, if they are in this Brahmi sthiti, in which they are not deluded, they are self-disciplined, self-controlled, and they have this high level of concentration with which no desires are arising in them, then that person achieve Brahm Nirvanam. Richati. Brahm Nirvanam, Richati. Last word of second chapter, Richati. Richati comes from rich, the Sanskrit root. Rich gives us reach in English. Again, Indo-European languages, you see this interconnection. Rich became reach in English. You reach there or I reach there, right? Reach means to reach, to approach. That's the same word which comes from rich in Sanskrit. So that person achieves Brahm Nirvanam with this condition of Brahmi Sthiti. This completes our second chapter, and with your support, we will continue the third chapter now in the Bhagavad Gita.